Good morning. It is Tuesday, February the 3rd. Welcome into the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brennan Douglas sitting in for Kevin this morning as he continues his week of vacation, and another busy day on the calendar. Super Bowl week continues. It's Pro Bowl games day. 10-game slate in the NHL last night, and game day for the Edmonton Oilers. Second to last, the penultimate game before the Olympic break, the Toronto Maple Leafs in town, and what should be a well diversified fan base inside Rogers Place tonight, with Leafs fans scattered all amongst the blue and orange of oil country. Thank you very much for tuning in to the program this morning here just after 7 o'clock. We'll be with you for just under the next 4 hours, taking you all around the wide-ranging world of sports and checking you up on everything, getting you ready for Oilers game day tonight. However you are listening or watching us, we do appreciate it today. If you are, for the visual side of things, our YouTube page, Sports 1440 AM, is a great spot to check out. You can drop us a subscription and a like in there. You can also watch on any number of social media channels, Facebook, X, Instagram, even over on Twitch. And if you're just listening, driving along in the car, you can check us out on the traditional AM radio dial. Stream us on sports1440.ca, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn app, Radio Player Canada, all at your disposal. And if you do miss any portion of the program, you can always catch up via podcast, wherever you get them: Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon. Just search the Kevin Karius Show, click the subscribe and auto download feature. They'll be waiting there for you inside your library. You never have to miss a second of the show. Our text line, 1-833-401-1440, is how you can get in on the conversation with us all morning long, getting you ready for Oilers and Leafs tonight. It's been a little bit of a grind here the past couple times out. We've been talking about the Oilers' defensive deficiencies in a few recent games. Are they just struggling, just grinding it to get to this break, where a few players will be getting ready to head over to Italy to represent their nation? But the job is not yet done, and that is not lost, I'm sure, on the players themselves, as much as they are ready for a little bit of a breather here. It's been a whirlwind of a January, a jam-packed schedule. This is the final of an 8-game homestand, 8 straight games at Rogers Place, and it's been a little bit of a mixed bag so far. Looking to finish it on a strong note. Let us know your thoughts for tonight's game. What are you looking for? What are you hoping not to see? And with the added element of Toronto in town, I'm always curious to hear, because I've got a couple good friends that are born and raised Alberta their whole life, but they are diehard Maple Leaf fans. Sometimes it comes generationally, passed down from your parents. Maybe you picked up on a favorite player when you were younger. Was it Gilmore? Was it Matt Sundin? Are you a younger fan and it's Austin Matthews? I want to hear about it. Let us know. 1-833-401-1440 is the text line. You can give us a call at the same number if you are so inclined. Early puck drop tonight for Edmonton, hosting Toronto. 6:30 is the scheduled time from Rogers Place. Undoubtedly trying to serve a little bit of lip service to those out east, and not holding them hostage till 7:30 or later, if we're being very frank about it. But that's good. I'll never complain about that as someone here in the local time zone. 6:30, that means, we're probably closer to 6:40 by the time things actually do get going. You'll have a hard time finding me complaining about that. Earlier this year, Edmonton winners over Toronto 6-3, and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl each with 3 points in that victory. It was a pretty resounding one back on December the 13th. But in recent seasons, it's actually Toronto that's had the edge over the Oilers. 3-1. They went against them last year. And going back a couple seasons, we're talking about 6-3 since 2021 overall. So the past couple years, and then you stretch that back even all the way to coming out of the pandemic, it has been decidedly Toronto's edge in this head-to-head matchup. Different story. Big time different story this season when you look at how the Leafs are playing, where they're headed as a team right now in the standings, toiling in the 7th spot of the wild card race. Buffalo wins again last night. They now have 67 points. That puts Toronto 8 back of them. 8 back of them. It's not a small bridge to gap. And when you talk about the Leafs, you talk about the Flyers, and at this point, we have to roll Ottawa and Florida into the same conversation because they're right there with Toronto, albeit a game in hand. That Eastern Conference playoff race is starting to shrink a little bit. Now, for those teams in the Metro Division, maybe a little bit of a better shot as the third spot in the Metro is actually closer. But Islanders was 65 points, whereas the Habs in the Atlantic currently 69. So it's starting to thin out, the herd being a little bit as we get to the Olympic break. Roster freeze will come tomorrow, and then the trade deadline on March 6th once the schedule resumes later this month. In case you missed it, yesterday, Calvin Pickard clears waivers, so he will remain with the Oilers organization, and the expectation is that he'll stay with the big club, with the Oilers here, not be sent down to Bakersfield, at least in the immediate future. Couple days here before the break, he'll get a chance to, enjoy time off with his family. Jason Gregor, I believe, yesterday reported that they had a trip planned for a little bit of time away. And then upon reconvening here at the end of February, before this little road trip down to SoCal, maybe Calvin Pickard goes with them and then just sticks in California with the Condors. Maybe he rides it out with the Oilers. Of course, not being forced to be assigned to the AHL upon clearing waivers. He can now just be assigned there at a moment's notice and not have to clear again. In studio with me this morning, a couple of fine young gentlemen. Let's say good morning to Donovan Paulson on the ones and twos. We got Josh Fenwick over keeping us on track on our online digital streams. Donovan, good morning. Came in here back from my hit over at K97, and first thing I said, how are we doing? And Josh tells me I'm doing much better than Donovan. Donovan, what troubles you, young man?
Oh, nothing troubles me. No major
good
problems there. However, when you have one of those mornings where the everything catches up to you, the little adjustments from the
not getting up for the morning show.
Yes,
those adjustments,
right? And that adjustment caught up to me a little bit this morning in the shape of my alarm that may or may not have definitely went off, but
you did not stir.
Did not necessarily stir. That's why we set multiple alarms. So there was a little bit of a panic this morning, but we were all good. Just
hey, you were here when I came back in from K97, and that's good enough in my eyes.
Duke, I set 5 alarms.
Oh my goodness, Donovan. Oh my
I'm
goodness.
that
guy. What were you doing last night that you couldn't be in the rack by a decent hour? Were you up catching the Pacific Division or Pacific Time Zone games or what?
I was watching a little bit of Leafs and
getting the pre-scout on Leafs and Flames.
That's kind of the intention, yeah. And I mean the Flames have that team just can't seem to win a hockey game right now, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I was. It's also the sleep schedule in respect to always being up late for Oilers games and being up past it for post-game shows. It's right. It makes life a lot harder when you do need to fall asleep way too early for these shows.
So like me, then I can assume that you are thankful, feeling blessed for a 6:30 scheduled puck drop tonight rather than 7 or even 7:30 on the which would be more norm on the local schedule.
Thank the sweet baby Jesus.
Awesome. Right on. Tomorrow night you won't be as lucky, unfortunately, with the final game. So then come Thursday morning, I'm sure you'll be even more tired this back-to-back. I wish I had some advice for you to offer about how to battle this turnaround of late-night post-game action back in here to crack the mics here at 7 o'clock, but I don't have anything for you. You just have to endure, unfortunately.
No, it is. It's a grind, Duke, and I always got through it. But I mean, hey, what am I complaining about?
And then Thursday night, you can go to bed as early as you want. Unless you wanted to come suit up for the Critters in Fort Assiniboine.
That is most definitely not happening.
Wow.
Given the fact that I haven't suited up for the Critters once in my entire Stingray career.
I know a couple other individuals that are going to be making their Critters debuts on Thursday. None other than Andrew Walker.
Is he?
And his lovely wife Ange.
Yeah,
they're both coming out. It's going to be a big to-do. I think Walker might be in for a rude awakening. I'm not sure he's ready for this level, this caliber of hockey.
I'm sure he's going to get dominated out there. I mean, he's going to probably try and throw his weight around a little bit, even though he probably knows that you can't do that. My guess, He's going to get clobbered by the Critter.
by accident.
Yes.
Yeah, catch him in the crosshairs, perhaps moving across the the middle. Text line this morning already humming along. It's chiming Jay in Victoria with his usual early chime in. Morning, guys. If there's one team I want the Oilers to beat, it's the Leafs, especially this year, as the Oilers are playing just as bad as them. I'd love to see my boy Pod Colson hit some guys, maybe even get a goal. Need a good goalie game tonight, Jay from Victoria. Jay, I don't think you are alone in that sentiment one iota. It just seems to matter more against the Leafs. Does it make it better or worse that the Leafs are underperforming this season? It goes hand in hand with the Flames, right? The Battle of Alberta. When like a couple of years ago, when the Flames were enjoying their division-leading year, the Tkachuk, Monahan, Gaudreau combination, Lindholm was dynamite as dynamite gets. And then you saw a Battle of Alberta playoff matchup. That's when it means the most. Right now, the Flames kind of stink, and the chance to beat the Oilers, whether it be tomorrow night, earlier this year, whatever the case, it's a lot for them. It means a lot more to them than it does, I think, to the Edmonton fans. That being said, you still got to win the hockey games. So you can't take these games for granted, even if the opponent isn't necessarily at the same tier of you. Good morning, gentlemen. Leafs are 4 points out of a wild card spot. The Islanders hold the last spot with 65 points. Teams in between Columbus, Ottawa, and Capitals don't exactly inspire greatness. I think the Leafs will make the playoffs, and I don't like the Leafs. Well, I'll check you on that one, Bobby. The Islanders currently have 65 points, yes, but that is good for third in the Metro Division, a division the Leafs do not play in. So they actually trail the Buffalo Sabres, who have 67 points as the second wild card team. So just a quick math check on that tells me that they are 8 points back. Correct? Donovan? Once again, big math show here. Big math show, but I think we can do that math. So I'll be honest, I'm not really sure where you got the 4 points from. They're not 4 points behind anybody in terms of at a wild card spot. But Bobby, your idea isn't misguided. All year, I've been saying I'm not ready to write the Leafs off yet, and I said it yesterday. I am now. They're not a playoff team. You watch them play, it doesn't inspire greatness, to use your own words. They've got a lot of teams to jump and quite a few points to do so. Now, any team can rattle off a 5-6 game heater and all of a sudden find themselves right back in the middle of a race that they were previously excluded from. I'm not saying that can't happen, but what usually, if you go on a winning streak, at some point a couple games lost or you go on a nice little 50-50 stretch, it's tough to make up this much ground at this stage of the year. And they're going to have to sit on it for 3 weeks over the Olympic break.
The way I watch this Leafs team, the way I look at this roster now is after losing Marner, like, I don't think the results of this season are purely because they lost Mitch Marner. It's just, you look at the way that this team is constructed, and it is so many big, slow guys who just have really no offensive game.
Mm-hmm.
Like a guy like Nick Waugh, good player, but if you combine him with a Steven Lorentz, with a Scott Lawton, with a Dakota Joshua, like those are all the same player. They just have so many of the same mold, and it just doesn't work. This Leafs team is, me and Walks have kind of been writing them off now for the last month or so. And even before we started fully writing them off, we had talked, man, this looks like a non-playoff team. This team just doesn't have it for whatever reason. And so many of the guys they brought in to replace Mitch Marner, just, I'm shocked what Brad Treliving did, because it was absolutely, in hindsight, and even at the time, I thought it was the wrong move, but man, did he ever butcher it.
Takes two to tango. Seemed like Marner was pretty done with his time in Toronto. So, do what you can to recoup some assets. That came in the form of Nick Waugh and I think a little bit of draft capital, if my memory serves correct. But I think you're absolutely right, Donovan. His absence, and not so much his absence, but just what was done to replace him, is something that is clearly affecting the Leafs this year. Just before we get to the show lineup, I did want to take a moment to touch on a little bit of a sadder note. Devastating news from the southern part of our province, as 3 hockey players that play for the Southern Alberta Mustangs, a junior team, play out of Stavely, which is just south of Calgary. Unfortunately lost their lives in a car crash. They were on their way to practice, got into a collision with a semi truck hauling some gravel, and three young men. And by all reports, love the game, great teammates, all that stuff. But JJ Wright, Cameron Casorso, they're both 18 years old from Kamloops, and then a 17-year-old Caden Fine from Alabama, all killed yesterday in some really, really tragic news across the world of hockey and well beyond, of course, going back to the Humboldt tragedy of, seems so long ago, but still remains very near and dear to our hearts. When stuff like this happens, the hockey world tends to bond together a little bit and show as much support as we can. It was the team itself announced it on a Facebook post yesterday. So obviously on behalf of myself, the boys in studio, the rest of Sports 1440, and even the whole city of Edmonton, I feel comfortable saying that, sending our very best down to not only the families of these young men, but their, friends, loved ones, and the Stavely community, as well as the actual Mustangs hockey program, as well as they try to deal with this really, really unfortunate tragedy that occurred yesterday. On the show today, we have another loaded lineup. Right after the break, Brent Gunning from Toronto, 590 The Fan morning show in the Big Smoke will join us to talk some Leafs and get ready for tonight's contest. The 8 o'clock hour, jam-packed. Mark Spector, Frank Sarvalli at 8 and 8:20 as our double-barrel insiders, checking in on Oilers and the rest of the NHL with Spec and Frank. L.A. Munzer, Lorianne, the Olympic gold medalist from 2004. We're only a couple days away from opening ceremonies. Lots to get to with Lorianne around the Olympics. And 9:20, Brady Henderson from ESPN. Been on the show many times. He'll take us inside the Seahawks as Super Bowl week is underway from Santa Clara. What's going through the minds of the Seahawks? How do they prepare? What are their holes? How do they win a world championship in San Francisco? 10 o'clock, Alex Doherty from the Tennessee and covers the Nashville Predators. We'll catch up on yesterday's big surprising announcement that Barry Trotz is stepping down, going to retire at the end of this season, remaining in place until a successor is found as the general manager of the Preds, who rallied to win last night. And they cited doing it for Barry as part of their motivation. Then at 10:20, usually Connor Halley's slot on a Tuesday, but to save the people an overload of Halley and Douglas with the Fantasy Frenzy right after that, Declan Kruger's going to slide in Connor's place, talk a little CFL, free agency getting underway, NBA with Declan, some college basketball perhaps even as well. A nice little potpourri segment with Declan Kruger of the Lowdown with Low Tide and Elks Nation. Right after the break, Brent Gunning from 590 The Fan morning show in Toronto will be our guest. It's the game of the day here on the Kevin Karius Show. Brandon Douglas sitting in, Donovan Paulson, Josh Femick alongside here on Sports 1440. You can watch us. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Welcome, gentlemen, to the nerve center of game-watching greatness, my sanctuary, my Bro Zone.
Whoa, giant screen, comfy chairs. You've thought of everything.
Almost everything. Where are the snacks? We can't cheer on Canada without the proper fuel.
Way ahead of you. Wilhauk Beef Jerky, the official snack of the Bro Zone.
For a truly Canadian snack to cheer on our truly Canadian athletes, you need Wilhauk Beef Jerky, made with Alberta pride, right here in Leduc.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Wing Wednesday at First Round. Whether you're coming for the first round, the last round, or a few rounds in between, they've got you covered. With half-price wings every Wednesday night. Half-price wings. Over 35 delicious flavors like Cajun salt and pepper, maple bacon, and Inferno wings. Now half price every Wednesday night. Wash them down with a cold pint of Canadian or Coors Light for only $5.75. Half price Wing Wednesdays at First Round in West Ed and now downtown. First Round, burgers, beer, sports.
Friday night calls for a family fun that's second to none, starting with a big party.
It's the Oil Kings mascot Louie's Birthday Bash, presented by Bloom Benefits.
Edmonton faces the Moose Jaw Warriors. Local mascots will be in the house for Louis' big day, and every fan in attendance gets a card for their chance to win a fun Louis prize.
Plus, 4 Calmont Kids food combos for $10 or less. The value is lion-sized.
Oil Kings Warriors Louis' birthday bash, Friday at 7.
Great seats at Rogers Place start at only $20 at oilkings.ca.
This is Andrew Walker, host of the postgame show on Sports 1440. After every hockey game this season, tune in and chime in as we talk about the game. It's all sponsored by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Don't get left in the cold. Visit legacyheating.ca.
Business owners, if rising electricity costs are cutting into your profits, there's a smarter way forward. Right now, federal clean technology tax credits can cover 30 to over 50% of the cost of a commercial solar system, delivering an immediate return on your investment. And in Edmonton and Sturgeon County, the Commercial Clean Energy Improvement Program offers long-term financing for up to 20 years, making solar more affordable than ever. Lock in lower energy costs for decades and strengthen your bottom line. Visit GreatCanadianSolar.com to get started.
Need a new ride for road trips, errands, or just life on the go? Go Auto offers a massive selection with over 15,000 new and used vehicles to choose from. With over 70 locations across Western Canada, finding your next ride has never been easier. Whether it's a roomy SUV for the family, a sleek car for the open road, or a rugged truck for your weekend adventures, you'll find it here at a price you'll love. Explore thousands of vehicles today at goauto.ca.
Crave is home to the reality hits everyone is talking about,
The stakes are high and trust is low.
including the Emmy-winning series, The Traitors.
The gloves are off, and we're going to be throwing haymakers right from the beginning.
Get ready for even more murder and mayhem from celebrity contestants like Mama Kelsey and Lisa Rinna.
I'm going to play this game in a way that no one's ever played it.
The Traitors. Stream now on Crave. Subscribe at crave.ca.
Just in time for the morning skate. This is the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440.
724 in Edmonton. Welcome back to the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Kevin this morning. We'll do so for the remainder of the week. KK back Monday, freshened, rejuvenated after a Mexico vacation. I'm sure getting up very soon, Kevin will be to catch the program, of course, and maybe enjoy a deckside margarita before continuing on his busy schedule down in Cabo. Tonight, the Oilers hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs at Rogers Place, 6:30 our time is the scheduled puck drop, and that is our game of the day, brought to you by St. Albert Dodge. The all-new 2026 Jeep Gladiator Sport packages have arrived. We have a great selection, many colors to pick from, $49.9. That's right, $49.9 get you behind the wheel. Brand new Jeep Gladiators, below $50K, St. Albert Dodge.com. As we welcome back Brent Gunning, co-host of the Fan 590 morning show in Toronto. Brent, good morning. Thanks for taking some time fresh off getting off the air from your guys' program. How are we doing today out in Toronto?
I'm jealous. I heard you talking about the guy you're filling in for his Mexican vacation, and all I wanted is a deckside margarita. I'm sitting here fist fighting Toronto traffic. Let me tell you, margarita by the water sounds way better.
Oh, yeah. Count me in on that as well, Brent. So obviously you guys endured a pretty rough stretch of weather there over the past couple weeks. Things warmed up a little bit. The precipitation chilled off, at least for the time being.
Yeah, it has warmed up a little bit. I finally got the courage to dig out my barbecue last night. So we're back in the grilling season. As you know, it's right. Like that's an all year thing, but sometimes it takes a little time for me to dig out the backyard after I've shoveled out the driveway. So, I know you guys get cold there, so I won't complain to you. I had a guy on my morning show this morning complaining about the cold in Florida, and you can imagine how angry that made me, quite frankly. So it's all good. We're usually good for one or two good dumpings a year, and we just had ours. So hopefully we're done with the dumping. Not done with the cold, but hopefully the snow has chilled out a little bit here.
Yeah, as you said, Brent, of course, we're no stranger to the chilly temperatures. We've had a couple snaps of, minus 30 to minus 40 out here. Lots of snow through December. But I got to say, we've had some really nice stretches of weather, too, including right now where it's like hovering around zero, right around zero for, about a week or so. So your complaints right now, totally warranted, and we'll hear them full outright as Brent Gunning from the Fan 590 Morning Show in Toronto joins us here on Sports 1440. So, Brent, Leafs in our city tonight to take on the Oilers. They won last night in Calgary. Old Oilers fan favorite Troy Stecher continues his strong play since coming over to join the Maple Leafs. But I just want to start with this. The Leafs, they're 26-21-9. They're 8 points out of a wild card spot. It might be a bit of a blunt question and tough to answer concretely, but what exactly in your estimation has actually gone wrong with this team this year that has allowed them to go from, legitimate Stanley Cup contender and division contender to now, have to fight for their lives post Olympic break just to squeeze into a playoff spot?
Yeah, it's going to be a fight, and they have every reason to do so, because unless they completely bottom out, they're handing that pick to Boston. So you might as well make it as unattractive an asset as you can, seeing as how it's already out the door. It's not to say that there haven't been things that have gone wrong this year, but I actually think it's more been a case of nothing going right than what has gone wrong. When you look at past years, you look at Marner last year, he finally reaches the 100-point mark. You look at Nylander last year, he has a career season. You have Anthony Stolarz with the best year of his life. Nobody on this Leafs team this year can say that. There was a world where a prospect like Easton Cowan comes in and completely exceeds expectations. That hasn't happened. There's a world where Matthew Nyes, completely bullies his way onto that Team USA roster. That didn't happen this year. John Tavares, he's not been a problem, but he hasn't turned back the clock in quite the same way he did last year. And obviously Matthew's struggles this year have been well documented. So I don't know it's a case of what has gone wrong. There certainly have been things going wrong, but there hasn't been one career year outside of, a guy like Troy Stecher, who we joke has come in and saved the season. He didn't save it. They're probably going to miss the playoffs. But I think that's been mostly it. It's been a case of nothing going right. And in each of the last few handful of Leafs seasons, you can point to the career Nylander year. You can point to Austin Matthews' 69 goals. You can point to Stolarz. And you just haven't been able to do that for anybody this season. So I really think that's the biggest thing, is it's just been kind of a returning to the mean for so many guys, and then some things going sideways that's led them to this spot.
So, Brent, you talk about the probably going to miss the playoffs, and that it kind of is starting to look more and more likely. Now, the tough thing for them is with this 3-week Olympic break, obviously the roster freeze coming tomorrow, and then right through until they resume play. The trade deadline's only a short period right after that. Only a couple games will be under each team's belt before more decisions are going to have to be made. So right now, where is Brad Treliving at with decision-making in your eyes about what to do with some players on this team? Are they, in fact, going to sell off? Or like you said, there's not really any sense in trying to bottom out because they don't have their pick unless they end up into the bottom. I think it's top 5 protected. So what do you think the Leafs will actually do here? With the gap of the Olympic break notwithstanding with their roster?
Well, it's top 5 protected. They also don't have next year's first either. That went out the door in the Scott Laughton trade. So the idea of, you see this with teams that have been in a window of contention, where it's the quick little bottom out and retool and bounce back. I think it's got to be even quicker than that for the Leafs, because there's no incentive for them to be bad next year either. The most obvious trade, the one that I would be shocked if it doesn't happen, is Bobby McMahon. I know there's been a lot of chatter in Edmonton about him. I also know that is the poster child for guy that gets traded at the deadline. Enough upside that you could dream of him in your top 6. Will probably slot firmly into your middle 6, can play with a touch of jam, has speed. That's pretty much every box you want to check outside of playing center for a playoff team adding a forward there. So a guy like McMahon, I think, has got to go. The question marks will be on the Oliver Ekman-Larssons of the world, the Nick Waws of the world, the guys who are under contract for next year, and for OEL, it's 2 beyond this season. Are you moving off them just to move off them, or are you moving off them because somebody meets your price?
Right.
be the question. I would expect, especially with a thin center market like it always is, maybe Nick Waugh is somebody that kind of generates some traction as we creep closer and closer to the deadline. I don't think it's a complete sell-off like, Scott Lawton. He's an unrestricted free agent in all the world. It makes sense for the Leafs to move on from him, but they're also going to want to compete next year. And he has been a guy that's kind of moved the culture in ways they've more wanted to. Obviously, a Toronto area guy. So there's an element of, are you able to get a touch of a hometown discount on that guy? Probably harder to do so if you trade him at the deadline and want to bring him back after he has a playoff run with somebody. So I think there will definitely be pieces out the door. Old Oiler, Troy Stetcher. If somebody meets your price for him, it makes all the sense to move on. It's the guys with a little bit of term left that I think are going to be the interesting ones. And, if the defenseman market kind of dries up, I think Oliver Ekman-Larsson would look really attractive for a lot of teams, especially, with potentially a good Olympics in his back pocket when it comes time to talk trade, when the league does pick back up after the Olympics. So, yeah, that's the roadmap I think is ahead for the Leafs here.
Talking Toronto Maple Leafs with Brent Gunning from the Fan 590 Morning Show in Toronto. Brent, I do want to touch on some of those defensemen a little bit more in a moment, but sticking with Bobby McMann, obviously, a Wainwright product, played some junior A hockey out in Bonnyville here, has been already in the mix of a guy that maybe the Oilers could target as a scoring option for them. For those that maybe aren't as familiar, dive into a little bit more about what McMann brings to the table across the lineup on a game-to-game type basis, apart from the offensive production that we've seen.
Yeah, look, I got a lot of good things to say about Bobby McMann, but I think it's important to start here. There is a reason he is talked about as a middle six forward and not a bona fide top six forward. The game ebbs and flows. There are stretches where you look at Bobby McMann and you go, how is he not a 35-goal-a-year winger with the way he can shoot it and the speed he has? But there's also times where the play dips a little bit and you don't see that. You're wondering where it's been. There was a playoffs a couple of years ago where we spent a lot of time talking about, man, how different would this be if Bobby McMann was in the playoffs? Then guess what? He was on the team last year, and I think it was 2 goals in the playoff run that the Leafs had there, or, getting to the second round. That's a run out here, by the way. So I think that's the important thing to remember. There is a reason why he is not a bona fide top six guy, but the absolute best version of him, I mean, the eye test matches this, but you go look at the numbers that they have on the NHL Edge website. He has, I think it's the third highest kind of single burst of speed that they've tracked in the league this year, just under 30 clicks an hour. So I think that's the thing you're going to get from McMann. The speed is there. I also think he's a bit of a chameleon. He kind of ebbs and flows with the team. When the team seems to get their back up and they're playing with a little more gumption and attitude, he seems to have that as well. So I think the environment he ends up in will really kind of dictate the type of player he is. The Panthers, they won't be buyers this year, but he feels like the type of guy that if you added him to one of those Panthers teams in years past, wow, I never knew he was such a jerk. I think that's kind of lurking inside of him. So that's the scouting report on McMann. Great wheels, great shot, but the game kind of wanes like it does with most of those kind of middle six wingers you see.
Yeah, it's so often discussed, Brendan. It's such a good point about the difference between a bona fide top six player and those kind of tweeners guys. And it often boils down to consistency and bringing it on a game-to-game, night-to-night basis rather than in flashes and in streakiness. So back to some of the defensemen. You mentioned the likes of Oliver Ekman-Larsson could certainly be attractive to a lot of teams. Now, Morgan Rielly's name has cropped up. It seems unlikely because of term, because of money, the trade protection. Obviously, he is not going to be available to the team tonight as he's out with injury. Timeline-wise on Rielly, it's going to be obviously post-Olympic break before we see him again, I would assume.
Yeah, it will be. The team's ruled him out since then, but it also sounds like we'll see Morgan Rielly after the Olympics, maybe. Team has had its issues in regarding being super forthright with injuries. So I don't want to read too much into that, but it was far from a guarantee Morgan Rielly will be back when the Olympic break is over. In terms of how likely a trade that is, at first blush, I think everybody has the same picture of okay, offensive guy, maybe not the best at defending, makes enough money that it's cumbersome to bring it in. I don't know that any team's clamoring for it, but how many teams were clamoring for Seth Jones last year? You know, like I said with McMahon, I think the fit is going to be super important. You know, if Riley ends up somewhere where he's slotted in the right spot and he can just kind of be one of the cogs as opposed to your number one D-man, I can see a world where it fits, where it makes more sense. But that's the thing I think of. The only way the Riley trade happens is, again, if a team kind of has a defenseman get hurt kind of at the last minute before the deadline and somebody has to pivot, maybe that happens. But that feels like a summer trade. That feels like a draft day trade if it does happen. But I have to be honest, I'm a little surprised there isn't a little more chatter about it, just because of what we saw with Seth Jones last year. You know, this is a guy who all we said basically, you know, since the very beginning in Columbus was this guy makes too much money. He's not the right kind of defenseman for a winning team. And then you see what he did with Florida. Now, Seth Jones and Morgan Riley are very different in the way they go about their business and what's asked of them. But that's the name that's kind of been bouncing around while we've had a lot of these Riley trade talks in the city. The other issue with this is, does he want to go, right? You know, this is a guy, he is not a Toronto guy, but he basically is now. He's been here for nearly half his life when you look at how early he broke in with the team. You know, his wife from the area, they just had a baby last year. How much is he looking to, keep those roots that he set down here versus the ability of waving? I'd be surprised if that happened in season, but could see it happening in the summer at the draft.
Brent Gunning from the Fan 590 Sportsnet Morning Show in Toronto with us here on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Another guy that has some trade protection, but unlike Riley, a newcomer to the team, Brandon Carlo was acquired last year, and a pretty sizable price was paid to bring him in. Now, he's another guy that has a year remaining on it beyond this season, but in terms of movable assets, you look at his contract, he's a right shot guy, is more of a traditional defender type back there. Is this a name that you think the Leafs would have interest in moving on from, or because of how much they invested to get him, they're almost, forced to keep him and see this play out longer term?
Yeah, I do think that's the way this is trending. I think Carlo is going to be a popular name on trade boards in the lead up to the deadline. But if you're Brad Treliving, how can you sit there and, be George Bush on the aircraft carrier of like mission accomplished, getting a first-round pick back for Brendan Carlo when you gave up a first-round pick and a guy that is already playing top six center minutes in the NHL. That should never be the reason why a trade does or doesn't happen. But we also know human nature is a real thing. Like, this isn't a video game. This isn't an avatar. That's a real man who has to hear about it from his boss and from me every morning when I'm, looking on air about it. So I think that's going to be what's going to stop the Carlo trade from happening. Again, if somebody wants to get silly and he's the perfect fit, I suppose, but he was supposed to be the perfect fit here. And, he looked a little different outside of that Boston ecosystem than he did in the Toronto one. So or inside the Toronto one. So I think that's going to be what's the hold up on a Carlo trade there. It's not going to come close to the price you're going to pay. And, oh, great, you got the 28th pick in this year's draft. Well, you gave up potentially the 13th or 14th to get him, along with other assets. So I just think that's going to be what's the biggest hurdle to that move.
Brent, always appreciate your time. Great insight on how things are cooking out in the big smoke. And hey, even if the Leafs continue to be a little bit of a disappointment this year, hey, the Raptors are really looking good and maybe get a little activity ahead of this Friday's deadline in the NBA. And we're only, a couple weeks away from Blue Jays baseball back front and center in Toronto, albeit down in Florida to kick off. So appreciate your time as always, Brent. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll chat again soon.
Yeah, happy to do it. And hey, we all get to cheer for McDavid starting next week. So I will lay it here. No big runs at McDavid tonight, Leafs. If you got to give him a free pass, give him a free pass. You got to protect 97 until we're all back from Milano. Then you guys are on your own again.
Awesome. Thanks, Brent. Take care.
Take care.
Brent Gunning, co-host of the Fan 590 Morning Show in Toronto. Him and Ben Ennis do a great job out there talking Leafs, talking Jays, talking Raptors, of course, as well as the more national scope stuff too. And that is our game of the day for tonight's Leafs and Oilers tilt here in Edmonton, brought to you by St. Albert Dodge. All new 2026 Jeep Gladiator Sport Packages have arrived. Great selection, many colors, $49.9. Get you behind the wheel, brand new Jeep Gladiators below $50K. Check it out, St. Albert Dodge. When we come back, we'll dip into the text line, 1-833-401-1440. The opinions on the Leafs and their struggle bus this season and what could it look like moving forward for them, as well as some other trade proposals. We're officially in that time of year where it's trade city on the text line now. We'll dive into those, entertain some of the notions, catch up with Donovan Josh, see what's cooking over on the other side of the board. Top of the hour, Mark Spector, Frank Serval, 8:20, and Lorianne Munzer to round out a jam-packed 8 o'clock hour, all still to come. Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson, all with you here. It's the Kevin Carey Show on Sports 1440. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
There's a lot of great seasons in Alberta. Hockey season, harvest season, the winter season, and the even more winter season. But GS Construction is already preparing for our next great season, because while the city slows down, we plan ahead. Projects, people, and pipelines. Everything starts taking shape for another strong year underground. We're also getting ready for our next hiring season in March. We want new people who want to build something that lasts. For more on us and to apply, visit gsconstruction.ca.
60 years ago, we started selling trucks as Western GMC Buick. Today, we are Wolf GMC Buick. We're still located on the corner of 184th Street and Stony Plain Road with the same ownership for over 2 decades. Our customers have trusted our family-owned, community-driven business. And for that, we are thankful. If you're looking for a truck or SUV, pop in and one of our seasoned professionals will get you a great deal, hassle-free. Come trust our team at Wolf GMC Buick. Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Heard of Uline? You know, the have-it-all in-stock, ready-to-deliver shipping and industrial supply specialists. The company that does things for you that are unheard of, like keeping 41,000 items in stock in our own warehouses. The customer service reps on the line to get you what you need when you need it 24/7, 365 every time. Maybe you heard it here first. Want to hear more? Visit uline.ca. ULINE. Your shipping and industrial supply specialists.
Hear ye, hear ye. Dragon fruit has returned to Booster Juice. Prepare thyself for the legendary alchemy of the Dragon Slayer smoothie. Think Dragon Booster Mixer and Dragon Booster Ball. Yeah. Does the dragon taste like chicken? Nay, Booster Juice uses only delicious tropical dragon fruit. No dragons are harmed. Get thee to Booster Juice before dragon fruit vanishes once more.
Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
This hockey season, before every game, check out the pregame show with Andrew Walker on Sports 1440. It's brought to you by Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products. Visit titansupply.ca.
The future of female hockey is here. It's season 2 of the Female Super League, the first ever female-only independent hockey division in Western Canada, with teams from British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Featuring 16U, 14U, and 12U divisions, the FSL brings showcase weekends packed with thrilling games, and our 14U and 16U have been pioneering the advanced body checking rule, empowering young players. The Female Super League, where the best in female hockey takes center ice. Details at femalesuperleague.com.
Shoulder pain. It can make even the simplest things like reaching up, lifting a bag, brushing your teeth, or sleeping frustrating. Rotator cuff strains, impingement, arthritis, they're some of the most common issues we treat every day. I'm Grant Fedoruk, and at Leading Edge Physio, our team brings postgraduate training, evidence-based technology, and just the right amount of humor and humility to help you feel better. Because we never forget the most important part, the gratitude we feel for every patient who allows us the opportunity to care for them. Because life shouldn't hurt. When it does, leadingedgephysio.com.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 EEE. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the 2 best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
Whoa, I gotta put some money on the game tonight. We hit our monthly budget. Whoa, how did you get in here? I'm you, the responsible you. We're right. We'll play another time. Sounds more like us.
If you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
Welcome back into the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Coming up on 8 o'clock, Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson, all in studio with you this morning. Getting ready for tonight's Leafs and Oilers Tilt 6:30 scheduled puck drop from Rogers Place. A little bit of an early one, so if you're planning on heading to the game, make sure you give yourself ample time to figure out your parking, adjust for traffic, all that jazz. Our text line, 1-833-401-1440, is how you get a hold of us. Donovan, are we going for a pure CanCon morning with the music intros?
Yes.
We're 2 for 2 so far.
Yes, let's do the entire CanCon. Let's
Do you know enough Canadian artists? Well,
yeah,
Donovan, you
buddy.
can't play Trooper 8 times. You can
No.
play Trooper once.
I'll mix in a little Nickelback in here. I think
boy.
is on the agenda. We will.
What about Spec and Frank and
guess
Lorianne? They all
that's
have predetermined intros, none of which are Canadian.
We'll hold out that hour.
Okay.
That'll be the
CanCon,
the usual hour.
CanCon Tuesday resuming at 9 o'clock.
Exactly.
All right. I get on board with that. I can get on board with that. The text line, Lance, chiming in. We can all agree Matthews is not re-signing with the Leafs. Unlike our boy McDavid, he said yesterday he's an Oiler for life in the Players Tribune. Yeah, in case you missed it, Connor McDavid penning a letter to Canada via the Players Tribune. This has been a cool trend that goes back, a lot of years now, of people getting out their players, I should say, getting their thoughts kind of out there, usually with the help of an actual writer in some capacity or another to express their thoughts and convey, that their feelings, their thoughts out to the fans, the people that watch them on a game-to-game basis. So this is just one quote to Lance's point. I don't need a break or a fresh start. I just want to be in Edmonton playing hockey. I want to get back there again, whatever it takes. If that sounds like a robot, then I guess I'm a robot. Connor McDavid, in his own words, that is the exact tweet from the Players Tribune with then the full article available for reading titled Dear Canada. And this, of course, coming in lead up to the Olympic Games. Canada will, men's hockey schedule. What was the date? February 11th is when the men's side gets going, right, Donovan? Women will kick off this Thursday.
Crazy, yeah. But
which, I mean, hey, at least we'll have something to tune into for this weekend ahead of, NHL stops tomorrow.
Yeah.
Men's Olympic hockey. And there's obviously tons of other events, which we're going to dive into a little bit with Lorianne. But, call a spade a spade. The hockey is the marquee event of the Winter Olympics, especially with NHL participation on the men's side returning. If you want to disagree with me, that's fine. I enjoy the rest of the sports as much as anybody, genuinely. I love the curling. I love the ski, all the mountain events.
Right there with you.
Particularly ski cross and snow cross, which I know aren't really mountain events, but you get my point. I love them. Speed skating, admittedly, a little bit like NASCAR. I love seeing a good wreck going around the corners. But yeah, the bobsleigh, the luge, the skeleton, take your pick. I'm a big fan. The only one I don't really get, biathlon. It's cool. It's impressive. I would like to see a version of biathlon where you're downhill skiing and then you have to stop and shoot some stuff, as opposed to cross-country skiing.
See, I just look at all the Winter
Olympics. Too
Olympics.
dangerous? Maybe.
I look at all the Winter Olympics sports, and I think they're real sports in my mind, all of them. Even you can talk about figure skating and stuff, but I know some people don't give figure skating the respect I think it deserves. But I look at the Summer Olympics, we saw breakdancing. And I look at that and say, why the hell is that in an Olympics?
That gave us an all-time moment. What was her name? Raygun?
Raygun, yes.
Raygun.
Me and Connor were talking about Raygun yesterday a little bit on Fantasy Frenzy, but I love the Winter Olympics. It's so much better than the summer. The summer's great, but I can tune into the Winter Olympics all day without a hesitation.
I just think for most Canadians, And I'll maybe even hone it in a little tighter on Alberta because we have the benefit of the mountains within driving distance. So, like, me personally, I grew up doing way more skiing than I did skateboarding. And the X Games and the addition of the kind of X Games sports into the Olympics is great. But I don't have the same relatability to it. Whereas, like, watching people ski, whatever kind of skiing it is, I obviously never did any alpine skiing or jumping, apart from, the odd foray into the terrain park where I just embarrass myself and usually hurt myself. I just find a little more relatability in that. Plus the curling, plus the hockey, obviously. Maybe. Mike on the text line. Toronto Maple Leafs, Bob McMahon sounds a lot like Zach Hyman. Maybe the Oilers could steal another one from the Maple Leafs. Oh, I'm sure that would send Oilers fans and Oilers Nation into a tizzy. They love doing things like that. Bruce in the Park, good morning. Rumors of Wallstedt being on the market and the Oilers being interested. Could you see something like Roslovic and Howard for Wallstedt and picks coming back? I'm guessing Billy Guerin wants a center and a young, good prospect to counter Wallstedt's age. Well, Bruce, whatever you think the price is, times it by about 3, I think, and that is what you're going to be forking over to acquire Jesper Wallstedt from the Minnesota Wild.
They have no they have no desire to take back a young prospect.
The only way, and I mean this in my 10 out of 10 belief, the only way the Wild are trading Jesper Wallstedt is for a bona fide number 1 centerman. Full stop.
He is a 23-year-old, we assume, based on what we've seen the flashes of, franchise-level goaltender, and you don't trade that guy for anything less than, as you just mentioned, number 1 centerman. If they're really desperate at the trade deadline, you could trade him for a really, really good all-star level number 2 centerman.
Yeah, with up like first line upside.
Control.
Yeah,
like there is so many possibilities that he is still on that team post deadline. If you're getting him, like, listen, if the ask was Roslovic and Howard, plus the Oilers getting picks back, there is no world that Jesper Wallstedt would still be on the Minnesota Wild. 31 other GMs would call up Bill Guerin and say, I will give you so much.
I'll double that
asking price.
I'll double that. I'll double that. I'll triple it. There's always a desire for goaltenders, and we know it's voodoo at times because a guy can have a great year and the next year look like he belongs back in the AHL. But Wallstedt has pedigree. He's shown it over enough of a sample this year that I would think most GMs, most scouts, pro and otherwise, are believers that this guy can hack it long term as a number 1 goalie in the NHL. The Wild are not going to give that up for Jack Roslovic and Ice Howard. I'm sorry, Bruce.
And then get picks back too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, the Wild also need to throw in some picks. Brad says, so you're telling me they wouldn't take Draisaitl for him? Second line center. I assume that's a little bit tongue in cheek, Brad. Draisaitl is a number 1 center on 31 other teams. 30. McKinnon?
Yeah.
McKinnon. Okay. All right. I'll take that. That's fine. But still, yeah. But it is funny. It's good text, Brad. Top of the hour, Mark Spector will be with us. We'll continue to tee up Oilers and Leafs tonight from Rogers Place. Once again, 6:30 is a scheduled puck drop, a little earlier than normal. So do take that into account for your viewing, whether it's at home or in-house scheduling. Let's get to a Sports 1440 update before spec, brought to you by Riverside Honda, 59 years and counting as St. Albert and surrounding areas' premier Honda and Can-Am dealer. It's your dream. Ride it at riversidehonda.com. Here is Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
On the ice last night, the Sens took down the Pens 3-2. The Habs fell to the Wild 4-3 in overtime. The Stars edging out the Jets 4-3 in overtime. The Hawks doubling up on the Sharks 6-3. Wings blanking the Avs 2-0. It was Sabres over the Panthers, and the Leafs toppled the Flames 4-2. MLB offseason action last night saw a 3-team deal between the Mariners, Cardinals, and Rays. The Mariners get all-star utility second baseman Brendan Donovan. The Rays grab major league ready third baseman Ben Williamson. while the Cardinals get a group of 3 prospects highlighted by top 100 prospect switch pitcher Gerangelo Sanger and a couple of picks. On the hard court, the Rockets edging out the Pacers 118-114. The Grizzlies beat the T-Wolves. It's the Clippers over the Sixers and the Hornets over the Pelicans. Coming up right after the break, we've got Sportsnet's Mark Spector. I'm Donovan Paulson. That's your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
They're not just a grocery store. They're a butcher, a baker, a cafe, deli, rotisserie pizza, and restaurant, all under one roof. Loca Quality Market does food differently with 2 locations to serve you. Edmonton and Sherwood Park. Visit loca.ca.
Weekly NFL giveaways, drink specials, huge screen TVs. The hits keep coming at First Round, Edmonton's NFL headquarters. Watch NFL football at First Round, and you could win a trip to your favorite NFL city for a regular season game next season. Catch NFL action Thursday nights, all day Sunday, starting with the Pro Bowl brunch from 10:30 to 2. Then Monday night with half-price boneless wings after 6 p.m. First Round, burgers, beer, sports. Downtown and Bourbon Street, West Edmonton Mall.
Mr. Reuter gets a colonoscopy.
All right, Mr. Reuter, just relax. We're almost finished.
Now, what am I looking at on the screen?
That's your large intestine.
Wow, the pipes of the human body. Incredible. This is just like when we use a camera for sewer inspection, except you probably don't find tree roots.
You'd be surprised what we find.
You know, once I found a bunch of Hot Wheels.
Hey, me too.
For a plumber who values healthy pipes, call Mr. Reuter.
This is Andrew Walker, host of the postgame show on Sports 1440. After every hockey game this season, tune in and chime in as we talk about the game. It's all sponsored by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Don't get left in the cold. Visit legacyheating.ca.
Remember 2025? That's so last year. But seriously, St. Albert Dodge needs to clear some 2025 models off the lot to make room for new inventory. So they're having a huge clear out of all the remaining new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Saharas. The Sahara package is the best seller, so they have a great selection to choose from and priced from as low as $59.9. I don't have to tell you, these are going to go fast. So get there before they are gone. Just head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Local links to homes and businesses across the province. Alberta's rural natural gas utilities are here to fuel life affordably, reliably, and safely. We're members of the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops, providing natural gas to keep our rural neighborhoods warm and connected every day. It's local, dependable, and it's ours. To learn more about the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops and our members, and how natural gas fuels your community, visit fedgas.com. Alberta's energy. Game on.
Crave is home to the reality hits everyone is talking about,
The stakes are high and trust is low.
including the Emmy-winning series, The Traitors.
The gloves are off, and we're going to be throwing haymakers right from the beginning.
Get ready for even more murder and mayhem from celebrity contestants like Mama Kelsey and Lisa Rinna.
I'm going to play this game in a way that no one's ever played it.
The Traitors. Stream now on Crave. Subscribe at crave.ca.
Let's play.
Stories, guests, and insights. This is Sports 1440 and the Kevin Karius Show.
You play the bumper? Just after 8 o'clock, welcome back into the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas sitting in for KK this week. We got Josh Fenwick, we got Donovan Paulson, and we got On the Mark, brought to you by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Mike and the crew want to thank you for all the support in 2025. Together, we fed almost 500 families, and we're going to do it again. Thank you from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. We welcome in Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. Good morning, Spec. A little bit of a more lackadaisical Monday. What did you do with your evening? Catch up on some other hockey games or just relax? What's going on?
Relaxed, chilled out. Had the actually, I guess I watched, on an off night, you don't I'm playing cards with Shelker or something. You kind of have a game on, and then you tune it up. When the announcer's voice gets raised, you look over and see what's going on. It's kind of like the way we watch baseball,
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did watch Buffalo in Florida, and man, Buffalo's for real, boy. They went into Florida, they got behind a little bit, and they came back and beat them. They were the better team that I saw as I watched. And Florida's in trouble, right?
Yes.
Florida, even Matt Tkachuk said after the game, he says, we're in trouble. They got another injury last night in Bennett, and they're like 9 points out with 4 or 5 teams to pass.
Well, that's exactly it. We were talking like Donovan. We had Brent Gunning on, one of your Sportsnet colleagues from out in Toronto. I talked some Leafs right off the hop this morning. And then during the commercial break, Donovan and I were talking, kind of said, like, everybody's saying, like, oh, yeah, the Leafs are dead. The Leafs are dead. It's like, they're ahead of the Panthers. And yet nobody is really, I know Gregor's touched on it a couple times, and Kevin, credit to Karius, he predicted at the start of the year the Panthers weren't going to make the playoffs. I haven't quite heard the same sentiment around the Panthers that I have the Leafs about their playoff hopes being completely tanked.
Well, there you go. I mean, I think because listen.
Defending Cup champions 2 times maybe get a little more leeway than the Maple Leafs.
They do. They know what the Panthers are made of.
Right.
That's you don't have to ask. If you're looking to ask, you don't have to go past the borders of Edmonton to find people that if they don't, they should have a giant respect for the hockey team in Florida. So, but listen, math is math, right?
Yeah.
I got them in front of me here. They're 9 points behind the last wild card spot, and they've got to pass 5 teams, and they've played 55 games. So they've got 28 games to play, 27 games to play, excuse me. So you got 27 games. You got to make up 9 points and pass 5 teams. Any other team in the world, I would tell you, it's over. Yeah. And I think looking at the Panthers, it's hard not to say it's over. And it's crazy. And the Leafs are no better. They got 2 points on them, so they got to make up 8 points, and they got 4 teams to pass, and they're not as good a team.
Mm-hmm. And so if we're just sticking on the Eastern Conference before we dive into tonight's game a little bit, Spec, like I'll be honest, right? I'm not too ashamed to admit that start of the season, I did not have the Penguins. I did not have the Islanders as playoff teams in the Eastern Conference. Now, did I have the Leafs, the Panthers, probably even the Senators? Yeah, I did. But you got to give credit to those teams I just mentioned. Sabres and Bruins in the same boat for sure. Now, of the teams that are in the East, if you could see one falling out based on what you've seen from them this year, and whether it be the Sens, Leafs, Panthers, Jackets, even Caps, however you want to frame it, one of them getting back in, who do you think maybe comes out to be replaced?
That's a good question. I don't love all the teams. There's a real separation. There's a 5-point separation between the Bruins, the last wild card spot, and the Capitals are the first team out of the playoffs. 5 points, that's not undoable, but after that, it drops off. And I don't love any of those teams down there. Like Washington probably would be my team that could make it just based on how good they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you get Columbus, Ottawa, Toronto. I don't have any faith in any of those teams to make some giant comeback. And we just talked where Florida is, and everyone else is below Florida. So whether you like them or not, Philly, Jersey, Rangers aren't making the playoffs. They're too far away. Mm-hmm. Of all those teams, I think that aren't making it, it's the Devils that, some people pick the Devils to be in the cup, right? For them to be second last is crazy.
Them and the Rangers, and the Panthers have the injury out a little bit. Toronto, whatever you wanted to use as their excuse or not. But the Devils and the Rangers, on paper, these are absolutely playoff teams and should have been competitive ones at that, not just sneaking in, let alone toiling at the bottom of the conference. So I'm right there with you that I'm as shocked to see those 2 teams down there. Now, the Capitals are an interesting note, Spec, because yes, they're 5 points back of the wild card spot, but they're only 2 back of the Islanders for the final Metro spot, which is a points-wise weaker division right now than the Atlantic. So they have an easier path in that way.
I just noticed that as you speak. So,
Mhm.
so there you go. I mean, Washington's still in it. They got something to play for.
Exactly.
The question's going to start to become, I mean, I guess Columbus would be only 4 points back of
Right.
the Islanders too. So there'll be some teams fighting for that spot. But hey, listen, it's funny how it unfolds. We think we know, right? I think Pittsburgh is got to be the biggest surprise. Like when I look at teams like Pittsburgh and Boston, I always feel like there's cycles, and those teams have ridden the top of the cycle for so long and been good, and they got to take their turn at the bottom. And I really thought that both would start to fall out of the playoffs here. And Boston's been a very good team. Like Boston's, they're 2 points behind Montreal, and we all talk about how good Montreal is here. So it's crazy. It's good for them, good for their program, good organization, all of those things. I guess you don't always have to fall off the top of that cycle, I guess.
That's right.
I suppose.
Sportsnet's Mark Spector, our guest on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. So, Spec, tonight, the Oilers look to try and, right the ship a little bit here. 2 games back-to-back. Toronto tonight, down in Calgary tomorrow before the Olympic break. Now, we can sit here and talk about the grind of this month's schedule. It's been tough. But this has been 8 straight games at home coming to a conclusion for Edmonton tonight. And a Leafs team that has not been as strong this year, but they've actually kind of had the Oilers number a little bit for the past couple seasons overall. So is this one that has the opportunity for oversight by the Leafs, or because of this weird cross-country rivalry that these two teams possess, do you think all the local Toronto guys get up for it a little bit more, even though it's being played in Edmonton?
I mean, listen, the Leafs aren't in a position to have any oversight. They're fighting for their lives here. The Leafs aren't very good. And this isn't just me taking rips at Toronto. I'm just looking at their team and their roster, and the fact that they just played a game in Vancouver and it was life or death to go through a shootout to beat the Canucks, who are a last place team. And then they went into Calgary after a day of rest, and they, it went right down to the wire before they scored an empty net game. They're not much better than Calgary or Vancouver, and Calgary and Vancouver aren't that good. So, a rested Oilers team should have no trouble with Toronto. It's just the way it is. These are points when you get a team that's below you in the standings, below you in quality, and they're coming in after playing last night. They had an 8:00 start in Calgary. They got a 6:30 start in Edmonton. These are points you just got to grab. You got to grab them. Then you go into Calgary, and they're waiting for you, and it's Calgary, Edmonton, and all bets are off, man. Who knows what happens? Guys are going to have one foot in the plane to Turks and Caicos and all those things. But this one tonight with Toronto walking in here, again, they're not that good a team. You should beat them. That's all there is to it.
Cal Pickard clears waivers yesterday, Spec, and we talked about it with Eddie, and we asked you, do you think he gets claimed? And you, myself, Low Tide, we're all in agreement that, we kind of thought he would, but he remains with the organization for the time being. Surprise level that nobody took advantage of, a really cheap veteran guy to at least stabilize a backup position across the NHL, but he's still in the Oilers organization for the time being.
Yeah, I think the Oilers made a smart move here. They didn't want to lose him, right? Mm-hmm. They want to keep. He's great insurance. That's what he is, especially when Jari's had some injury issues. So they didn't want to lose him, and they sat and waited until what they felt was the right moment they could get him through. They waited for Ottawa's injury problems in goal, right? Or they waited for Ullmark to come back.
Right.
As they waited, the Rangers were talking about moving, or there was talk the Rangers might move quick and need a goalie to fill that spot. That hadn't happened yet, so the Rangers didn't need him. He's undoubtedly a better backup goalie than Ersson in Philly.
Yeah.
But you know what? As time passed, Philly fell so far down the standings, I guess you'd say, if I'm running the Flyers, do I want to win more games now? No, I'm not making the playoffs, so why am I trying to improve my goaltending? So the Oilers sort of managed to pick the perfect window right before the break. Teams don't necessarily need, if anyone's got a little nick, they'll be better when the break's over. We're fine. We don't need to replace them. We don't need to pay a guy to go to Mexico for 2 weeks. All of those things, they slip Pickard through the waiver wire, and I guess he goes to Bakersfield now.
Yeah, I would assume after the Olympic break probably is when he will report to the Condors, get the time off with the family and the deserved break of this condensed NHL schedule that he has been a part of the whole way, even if he hasn't been playing for the past month here. But to tonight's game, then sticking with the goaltending theme, where would you be going here, Spec? Because the last couple of times out for each guy haven't necessarily been their best. They've been solid overall still while wearing the Oilers uniform, but this tandem that they look to set up for themselves is still just exactly that, a tandem. No guy has really grabbed the reins to run away with it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, the team hasn't been any good defensively. We've been through this in Edmonton for so long. We judge goalies on their numbers behind a team that sometimes is brutal defensively and just gives up chance after chance. But if you look at Jari's last 5 games, his numbers are in each game are horrible.
Yeah.
Everything is 880, 875, 888. So he hasn't grabbed the reins. There's no question about that. And Ingram, I believe he got pulled his last game, and he wasn't terrible, but in the end, when you get pulled, you're not very good. So I guess I'd say to you got back-to-back games. They're both playing one. After Jari's start in the last game, I'm probably coming back with Ingram tonight, and Jari goes tomorrow, and then let's go in the Olympic break.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned talking about teams that could have been injured and guys nicked up and things like that. Did you see any update on Draisaitl following that kind of weird collision with the M boards? We talked about it with you yesterday, and the text came in from the skills comp day that it was conflicting. Some guys said he didn't do anything. Some guys said he was shooting pucks and did the shootout. So, not really any update on that front. But did you hear any new word?
He practiced yesterday and looked like a normal guy at practice.
Okay.
I talked to him. We talked to him after the practice. And in fact, somebody asked him about his hand. And I said to him, man, that was a weird one. It looked like you tripped the ref. He says, no. He says, I toe picked and ran into the ref. He said he just, for these guys, we all know anyone who's skated, when you get hit or when you see yourself going down, usually you brace for it and you're ready for it. When you're going down so fast that you didn't expect it at all is often when you get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And especially a guy like Draisaitl, obviously he's a pretty good skater. He's not used to just falling over for no reason. Mm-hmm. So he did. He said, I kind of toe picked. I fell into the boards. I hit the ref. But he was flexing his hand and he was like, I'm fine. He wasn't wearing any tape on his hand or anything. So it appears that he's just fine. He certainly shot pucks at practice yesterday. At this stage of the game, right, Brandon, if he's hurt or can't shoot or there's something wrong, he is not practicing yesterday.
No doubt.
It was about a 50-minute practice. He took the whole practice and he was just fine.
Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet with us here on the Kevin Karius Show.
Hey, you guys are talking about Wallstead? I love that.
Yeah, do you? Okay, great. We can dip back into that for a little bit.
That would be the most ironic trade in hockey history.
Would it not? Well, here you go. I'll just read you the proposed trade that came in on the text line, Spec, and see if you think similarly as I did. Ike Howard and Jack Roslovic for Jesper Wallstedt and draft picks. Thoughts?
Some fan brought that in, right?
Yes, that would be.
Let me guess, an Oilers fan.
Good. I would, without them having to out themselves, I would somewhat assume so.
Yeah, I've heard, and I don't know, I've just heard the reporter grapevine. They're looking for a player like Nico Hischier.
That's kind of what we said, right? Like they're not doing this because what Minnesota needs is a number one center. They've needed it almost the entire existence of their franchise. They've never had it. And that is the final piece to this puzzle for the Wild that I think make them right there neck and neck with the Avalanche, with Dallas, with Tampa, whoever you consider the league's very best.
Yeah. Is Eriksson Ek their number one center right now? I think he is.
Well, he usually plays lower in the lineup because he takes on so many tough defensive assignments and they rotate like Ryan Hartman, who has in the past had success up there playing with Kaprizov. The young Russian guy Yurov has taken spins up there at the top line too. But no, it's a total just mismatch to try and fill that spot between Boldy and Kaprizov.
Yeah, they do. They need it. I mean, that's exactly what they're looking for is a top line center. And that's pretty tough. Like how many teams have that guy? And I'd say to you, the Oilers are the team with the greatest luxury having 2 first line centers, but I'll also say to you, they're not trading McDavid and they're not trading Draisaitl. So, particular, I mean, Draisaitl's under contract for 7 more years after this?
Yeah.
So are you kidding? Like that, you're never trading Draisaitl with that deal. So So that's what they're looking for, though. They're looking for a first line center. I mean, let's throw it out there. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, is he enough? I don't know. I don't think. I mean, it's Billy Guerin's problem is this. He can look around the league at all the guys like Nugent-Hopkins. Look at Draisaitl and say, I love him, but I can't get him. Nugent-Hopkins, is he a first line center? I don't think he is. He can split a bunch of hairs all over the league. The problem is going to be who has someone we'd all consider to be a first line center and is willing to part with him, right? I mean, how many teams, is Nico Hischier a first line center? I suppose so. Jersey's become a bit, they've fallen off a cliff here this year. Is it, that Wallstead, I'm with you. He's looks like he could be a franchise goalie.
Yeah. And then my counter
need a goalie back.
We've had this one texter, Jason, he's been going back and forth with Donovan a little bit here about, the return for goalies isn't ever what you actually think it is because they are so voodoo at times. And that's a very fair point. But what Minnesota possesses here is no obligation to trade Wallstead. Right. If the right deal comes along, they will happily pounce on it. And then another name that's been floated out there is maybe Vinny Trocheck for Bill Guerin. He clearly has an affinity for him. Put him on the U.S. Olympic team when there might have been some better names available. But are you saying yes for Wallstedt for Vincent Trocheck? And would the Rangers want a goalie? I don't think so.
No, they don't need a goalie.
So it's like you need all the right puzzle pieces to fit for a deal like this to actually come to fruition. And right now, across the landscape of the NHL, I'm not really seeing it for Minnesota at the time being.
Well, and I think, there's another way to look at it. Minnesota's trading a backup goalie. And I know he's good. He's going to be a number one somewhere else. But in Minnesota, they got a guy they like better in Gustafsson, who Ottawa traded to them.
And that's the ironic thing is that Ottawa is a name that's been in the mix for Wallstedt, maybe. So take that.
Right. I mean, Ottawa traded Gustafsson. They want Wallstedt. Edmonton should have drafted Wallstedt. Now they want to trade a whole bunch of stuff for him. I mean, it's a goofy trade. It's a goofy trade and a tough one when you're trading you're right. Trading a goal is always more complicated. And, what is this guy? Is he, and how fast is, the Minnesota Wild's window is wide open right this second. They could win a Stanley Cup this year. That's how good they are. They could. And Billy's a wheeler dealer, man. I wouldn't be surprised if Guerin got that trade done before this trade deadline. Like, he doesn't mess around, man. He's got a really good team. And if he put a centerman in there, watch out Central. And I'll tell you right now, we've all seen how the Oilers play against Minnesota. I wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs. No,
absolutely not. And I've always been a big proponent of strike while the iron's hot. You never know what the next year might bring. Injuries,
for sure.
Guys, tail off. They don't have career years again, whatever. So I'm right there with you, Spec, that the iron is hot for Minnesota, and I'm sure Billy Guerin will be hard at work to try and track down that elusive number one centerman. Spec, great stuff as always. Enjoy the game tonight, and we will break it down with you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.
All right, sounds good, Duke.
Mark Spector on the mark, brought to you by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. This truck's for you. When we come back, we'll continue some trade chatter and see what's on the horizon across the rest of the NHL with our insider, Frank Saravalli from Victory Plus TV. That's around the corner. Lorianne Munzer coming up at 8:40 as well for some Olympic talk. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Kevin Carey, the show on the Kevin Karius program. Brandon Douglas, Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson, all in studio. We're back right after the break. You can watch us streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Sometimes you think about what you're going to do in the day. Go to work, pick up the kids from school, make supper. But at GS Construction, we think a little differently. Winter is our season to think, to plan, and to improve. We study, we innovate, we train. So when the thaw comes, we're ready to dig, build, and deliver even better, which means we need people like you. If you're thinking about joining the team at GS Construction, now's the time to do it. To apply and to see how we think, visit gsconstruction.ca.
Friday night calls for a family fun that's second to none, starting with a big party.
It's the Oil Kings mascot Louie's Birthday Bash, presented by Bloom Benefits.
Edmonton faces the Moose Jaw Warriors. Local mascots will be in the house for Louie's big day, and every fan in attendance gets a card for their chance to win a fun Louie prize.
Plus, score Calmont Kids food combos for $10 or less. The value is lion-sized.
Oil Kings Warriors, Louie's Birthday Bash, Friday at 7.
Great seats at Rogers Place start at only $20 at oilkings.ca.
No fluff, no fillers, just pure entertainment. Sports 1440 brings the heat with bold opinions, big personalities, and Edmonton's fiercest fans. This is your turf. This is Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
From the local rinks to homes and businesses across the province, Alberta's rural natural gas utilities are here to fuel life affordably, reliably, and safely. We're members of the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops, providing natural gas to keep our rural neighborhoods warm and connected every day. It's local, dependable, and it's ours. To learn more about the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops and our members, and how natural gas fuels your community, visit fedgas.com. Alberta's energy. Game on.
As players get ready to represent Canada, the regular hockey season takes a break. But don't forget about your winter breaks, BRAKES. At Napa Auto Parts, you'll find gold medal level stopping power and all your other world-class automotive parts and needs, like podium-worthy Napa Gold filters. Napa Auto Parts is here to support your commute, your drive to the rink, and eventually your own gold medal moment. With close to 600 locations throughout the country and over 85 in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store today. Let's go, Canada! That's Napa know-how.
Just in time for the morning skate. This is the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440.
Here on Sports 1440, Brandon Douglas, Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick with you here, sitting in for Kevin Karius on the Kevin Karius Show this week. And it's time for our headliner of the day, brought to you by Mr. Rooter Plumbing. Draining clogged pipes like three-pointers for all your plumbing needs. Go to mrrooter.ca as we welcome in Frank Saravalli from Victory Plus TV. Frank, good morning. How are things out in eastern USA on a Tuesday morning? Is the temperatures warming up out there?
No, I wish it was.
Darn.
It's, we just saw the first side of 0 yesterday for the first time in 17 days. So
that's 0 Fahrenheit you're talking.
Yeah. Oh no, 0 Celsius.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I played some shinny with my son on Sunday on the pond, and it would have been minus 20 Celsius. So
oh boy,
it was pretty legit.
Yeah, need to be bundled up for that one. Yeah. That's for sure. So Frank, we're kind of at that time of year, right? We're a couple days away, a day away from the roster freeze, the Olympics on our immediate horizon, and then the actual trade deadline coming in just over a month's time right now. So everybody's abuzz with the trade chatter. You've got your ear to the ground. You've got all your sources. The hot name right now, we were just talking about it with Spec, is the Minnesota goaltender Jesper Wallstedt. And I kind of remain firmly stance that if the right deal comes into Bill Guerin's line of sights or pursues it, however you want to put it, that he's certainly willing or would be willing to move on a guy like Wallstedt, but he's not going to do so for unless it's a tangible, substantial improvement to his probably centerman position up front. Am I out of line in that train of thought, or how do you see it?
No, I don't think you're out of line. I think they're really happy with Jesper Wallstedt and the season that he's had, and it's created a good problem to have for the Wild because they went into this year thinking, okay, Marc-Andre Fleury is retired. We're not exactly sure what we have in Wallstedt, who, by the way, if you think back, really struggled last year in the AHL, sub 880 save percentage. And they weren't sure how it was going to play out. So they said, hurry up, let's sign Philip Gustafsson to a 5-year contract at $6.8 million per, just to make sure that position is locked down. We don't want any hiccups. We don't want any worries. So then Wallstedt comes in this year, and at some point in time has, for a stretch of time, outplayed Gustafsson. And now they're going, okay, but Gustafsson signed and Wallstedt's the up and comer. If we need a trade chip moving forward that's really going to move the needle, Wallstedt could be the guy because, let's face it, Gustafsson isn't going anywhere. And if you really wanted to, Marc-Andre Fleury could be the guy that comes back into the picture as Philip Gustafsson's backup for the remainder of the year if they decide to move Wallstedt. So that's part of the thought process. I'm sure that they've got multiple redundancies in place. And it's actually a really enviable position to be in because it's the most important position in the sport.
Well, yeah. And
I don't need to tell Oilers fans.
The most volatile, which exactly as you said, you don't need to tell Oilers fans because there can be games, weeks, stretches where guys look like among the best in the world. And then whether it be the next season or even the next night out, they look like a shell of that same player. So it's tough to gauge. And lots of the texts we've had this morning about, the actual value of goaltenders based on precedent in trades isn't maybe as high as we often give it value to. But as you just said, and I kind of alluded to earlier, Minnesota's in a unique spot because there's no rush on putting a deal in place to move on from Wallstedt. So if you were to look around, Frank, excuse me, do you think there's a landing spot that maybe possesses what the Wild are after and are willing to move it? Or what do you see in there?
Well, that's the more difficult part, right? Is like, let's say the New York Rangers, for instance. Like, I think if you asked me about a center and the Wild, I think Vincent Trocheck is right up there at the top in terms of a quality fit. But they have Igor Shesterkin, so that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And then you go, okay, Nazem Kadri. I wonder if he could be a guy for the Wild. Oh, wait, the Flames have Dustin Wolf. Mm-hmm. So you begin to work through the possibilities, and it's not sort of readily apparent. But it's just some interesting commentary on the value of Wallstedt in general. He has pedigree as a first-round pick, another thing I don't need to remind the Oiler fans of. He is 23, and think of the impact that Spencer Knight has had on the Chicago Blackhawks rebuild.
Yeah.
It is so nice if you're an emerging team to be able to plug in a goalie that fits your age scheme. Like Knight at 24 has really changed the view of the Blackhawks because, well, that's one less thing that they have to worry about now. They don't have to go out and find that guy. They've got him. So I do think there's value in that in a significant way for a team with Wallstedt. But I think on the whole, it's harder to find that fit coming back in a same transaction. It might need to be in two different transactions in order to make it happen.
Interesting.
Maybe one team, like as we're spitballing and working through it, like what about the Ottawa Senators?
Yeah. I've heard that one, pop up, and we just mentioned it with Spec. A little bit of irony, obviously, because the Sens are the ones that traded Gustafsson to Minnesota in the first place. But it does seem like that is a need for them. But who is the number one centerman, or at least number one adjacent centerman that the Sens are sending back? Like, does Dylan Cousins do it for Minnesota? I'm not sure he would.
Probably not, but Shane Pinto would.
Okay.
I doubt the Sens are moving on from Shane Pinto.
And there you go. That's the counter to almost everyone is the teams that have these type of players. They usually aren't super keen to move on from them, even in the spot of, we need a goalie, but they've kind of put their chips in with Olmark a little bit, have they not? Obviously, some turbulence this year, but they're still committed to him for the time being. So
Pinto is extraordinarily valuable. Already signed to that 4-year extension that hasn't kicked in yet.
Yeah, it should make for a very entertaining push towards the deadline, obviously, with the pause for the Olympic break in the middle of it. As Frank Saravalli from Victory Plus TV, our guest here on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Another name that is, I think, top of mind for most people still in the trade market is Artemi Panarin, Frank. And you chatted with Kevin about it last week about this extension that would come with an acquisition. And you said that it kind of is going to be several years. This isn't a super short-term deal that he'd be looking at there. So if we're trying to nail down potential landing spots for Panarin, what have you been hearing, or what could you envision as a possibility?
What I would say is it has been a tough sled trying to nail down, even as we get closer to Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, this Olympic roster freeze, which many believe to be the sort of so-called deadline for Artemi Panarin to move from the Rangers. There's lots of different options on the table. And I don't know that they've really narrowed it down yet to 5 or 3 or whatever it might be to sort out as options. And I don't say that to be coy. I say, like, there's so many different choices and so many contenders that are you looking for? Like, do you absolutely need the contract extension? Would you prefer to go as a rental? Are you okay going as a rental? Those are two, like, you've got the best of the best contenders saying, we'll take you on, but we can't sign you to a deal right now. Maybe we could get to it in the offseason, or maybe you walk to free agency. I don't know that it really makes a ton of sense for Panarin to be so gung-ho on the extension.
Yeah.
No matter what, like, first off, he's already well taken care of. But beyond that, everyone knows his value heading into the summer, and it's a really weak free agent class. To think that you need to absolutely get it done now just because you don't want to move twice, I don't like, and I understand the security aspect of it, but he's got security already.
Mhm.
So I'd go into it with a really open mind. Get me to a Stanley Cup winner. Get me to, I mean, maybe on the outside now, Florida, after they've lost again and Sam Bennett's out, but get me to Dallas or get me to Colorado, or get me to a place that has a legitimate window and opportunity for me to win this year. Tampa. I mean, any one of those teams, you could try and find a way to make it work and then deal with the fallout from the contract after you've been, soaked in champagne and you've got a Stanley Cup ring.
Yeah, I'm there with you. The extension part always confused me a little bit when that was being reported on. So on the topic of a true rental and possible extension, I'm not sure would fit in this specific scenario, but do you think the Oilers could be a team that could be in the mix for a Panarin rental? They need they want a top line scoring winger to move Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to the 3C spot potentially. Does that at all seem in the realm of possibility to you?
It does not. I have not heard the Oilers in the mix, and I believe that if they are going to make an addition in their top 6, that it's going to be someone that has size.
Okay. Yeah, it's and because we get texts about it obviously every day, and even Kevin does a hit over at the our sister station, the Rock Station, in building here, and I've been filling in from this week, and they brought that up, and I was like, I wouldn't hold your breath. Essentially, is the simple way of putting it, because it the gymnastics necessary to make it happen, plus the potential extension hiccup. Yeah, it seems unlikely, but I'm sure the suitors will not be short for a guy of Panarin's talent all the same.
Yeah, and I would say in the meantime, and I've brought this up with Kevin before, have to move Andrew Mangiapane's contract. It's not a maybe, it's a must. And the sooner the better. You could accrue cap space over the Olympic break. That's incredibly important for a team like the Oilers. Find a suitor, grit your teeth, pull the trigger, and get it over with. I mean, that's really where we're at, because the Oilers can do next to nothing without first accomplishing that.
Yeah. And so with that in mind about the cap accruing over this Olympic break, is there any other flurry of activity you expect to see here before tomorrow's freeze?
I mean, I'd expect, aside from Panarin, something that is on the lower end. Like, I'm not expecting a blockbuster, but you could see a middle 6 forward moved or a depth defenseman. Like, I think that's probably pretty likely. But I'm not expecting anything humongous outside of Panarin.
Okay. Last one for you, Frank, and it's going to stick with our Toronto and Edmonton theme here with them meeting in town tonight. Now, the Leafs, they've kind of fallen out of it. They're in the same boat as the Panthers, that I'm sure they'd love to make a good push here, but do they have the actual ability to do so? Well, we will, of course, see. But Bobby McMahon is a name on the Leafs roster that we chatted with Brent Gunning out of Toronto this morning and said seems like the logical choice for Toronto to move on from as an expiring contract. The price is right on his deal, makes it an easy fit. For a player like that, what do you look at acquisition cost kind of pricing out to be?
I mean, I think at max, you're looking like second round pick.
Okay.
Look at some of the wingers that have moved to this point. Mason Marchment, who's been very productive in Columbus since arriving, and that team's been on a ridiculous roll since making the coaching change with Rick Bowness. I think that's probably helps set up the goalpost for you in terms of, winger price point. That he got a second and a fourth, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So that's kind of in the realm of what you'd expect.
Yeah. And I lied. One more for you. Just on yesterday's news, a little bit surprising, at least for those of us out here, that Barry Trotz stepping down as general manager of the Nashville Predators. I guess the decision for him to move on isn't the most surprising part of it, but for me, it was the timing here in mid-season. What can you tell us about this decision for Trotz himself, and then any potential replacements? They're obviously just starting this process, but that you could see being in line for the job.
Yeah, I think that was the part that was most surprising was the timing. Like, I don't think anyone had on their bingo card, hey, middle of the season, February 2nd, month before the trade deadline, the Nashville Predators are making a change at GM.
Yeah.
We knew that their owner had been examining all aspects of both the hockey and business operations since taking over majority control. His name is Bill Haslam. He's the former governor of Tennessee. And that had been in place really since he took over in July. So I think they were really unhappy with their team's position in the standings and where they were heading next. And given that this has been really such a colossal screw up, going from rebuilding team in the blink of an eye to, hey, we're signing Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault and spending a bunch of money on free agent day, that never really, there was not a lot of connective tissue that brought all that together. And they've suffered in the standings as a result. That I think ultimately they wanted to go in a different direction, and they wanted to do right by Barry Trotz as a franchise icon and let him sort of call his own shot on the way out. And so it's a nice public story. And at the same time, I can understand why at 63, turning 64, he's a little bit worn down. This is not an easy job. And to think that you can go from head coach with vast years of experience to just stepping right into a front office role, there's a lot that it entails. And it's not just managing the roster, it's managing people, it's managing the scouting process, it's being the liaison between the business side and the hockey side. It's a lot. And I could see why, in some cases he might have bit off more than he could chew.
Frank, excellent insight. Appreciate it as always. We will chat with you on Thursday. Take care until then. Appreciate it.
Yep, sounds good. Have a good one, Brandon.
Frank Saravalli, Victory Plus TV, and our headliner of the day, brought to you by Mr. Rooter, the #1 overall pick in your fantasy plumbing pool. That's MrRooter.ca. When we come back, Olympic gold medalist from 2004, Lorianne Munzer, also, of course, a mindset coach. We're just a couple days away from the opening ceremonies over in Italy. We'll dive into all that with Lorianne when we return. In the 9 o'clock hour, Brady Henderson from ESPN covering the Seattle Seahawks will guest with us, teeing up Sunday Super Bowl, and we'll go in or out with Donovan as well. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Kevin this morning on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. We got Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick in studio as well. You can watch us. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Hear ye, hear ye. Dragon fruit has returned to Booster Juice. Prepare thyself for the legendary alchemy of the Dragon Slayer smoothie, Pink Dragon Booster Mixer, and Dragon Booster Ball. Does the dragon taste like chicken? Nay, Booster Juice uses only delicious tropical dragon fruit. No dragons are harmed. Get thee to Booster Juice before dragon fruit vanishes once more.
Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Happy New Year. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for everything in 2025. With your help and your support, we fed almost 500 families. We donated to various charities in the Edmonton area, and we're going to do it again in 2026. Please stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
Hey, Edmonton, did you know a local Play Alberta winner scored over $500,000 on Mega Jackpots Ocean Bells? Think about the season tickets you could lock down with that kind of cash. From major casino winners every hour to jackpots worth millions and hundreds of popular games to money that stays in the province, there's never been a better time to sign up for Play Alberta. Download the app today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. When you gamble, use your game sense. The Hockey Super League is proud to launch its 9th season, delivering independent, borderless hockey. This year, over 125 teams will compete across Alberta, Saskatchewan, and for the first time ever, Colorado, USA, with showcase style action, cross-province rivalries, and a strong commitment to player development. The HSL is the premier destination for families seeking balance and athletes chasing the next level. The Hockey Super League. Hockey without limits. For athletes born in 2013 to 2018. Visit hockeysuperleague.com to learn more.
This hockey season, before every game, check out the pregame show with Andrew Walker on Sports 1440. It's brought to you by Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products. Visit titansupply.ca.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 Triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
From the local rinks to homes and businesses across the province, Alberta's rural natural gas utilities are here to fuel life affordably, reliably, and safely. We're members of the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops, providing natural gas to keep our rural neighborhoods warm and connected every day. It's local, dependable, and it's ours. To learn more about the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops and our members, and how natural gas fuels your community, visit fedgas.com. Alberta's energy. Game on.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
8:42. Welcome back into the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Kevin this morning. Will be so for the remainder of this week. KK back on Monday following Sunday's big game, the Super Bowl. We're going to be giving away a table for six for first round's Super Bowl party here coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. So stay tuned for that. But for the time being, we're joined by Olympic gold medalist Lori-Ann Munzer, mindset coach. Lori-Ann, good morning. Happy Tuesday. How did your weekend treat you? How you been?
Good morning. The weekend was awesome. Friday was actually super spectacular because we had the grand official opening of the Coronation Park. So that is the velodrome. So total cycling. They have the Triathlon Academy as well as an Edmonton City recreation center. So everybody was there. So many people were there because it had opened on the Thursday. So it was live. It was running up. And it was so great to see so many of my friends and familiar training partners that I used to train and race against and with. So that was just amazing. And what a great way to kick off the weekend.
And Lori-Ann, I know you've talked about this kind of in the lead up to this this building getting opened, but elaborate a little bit more just for the sake of the velodrome and what it kind of means for those training here in Edmonton and the improvement that it provides in facility, in opportunity for young cyclists.
This is such a great opportunity because no longer are we outside and limited to probably April until September or October. We can ride almost 365 days a year if you want to. The beautiful part is that it's not just for national team riders. It's not just for provincial level riders. It's also open. We do school programs. It's open to the public. You need to come and do a learn to ride training session because you can get on the bike, but it's really different. It's, one gear, no brakes. So there are no brake levers. There are no gear changes that you can do. Also, the thing that I had a lot of questions. I brought in a couple people with me to just have that experience is riding on a 46-degree banking is something you don't do every day. We're used to, flat roads. It's perfect here in Edmonton. We go into the river valley, small hills. But when you're riding in an oval and it's only 250 meters around, that's typically what they'll run Olympics on, World Championships, Commonwealth Games, Pan Am Games. and then you throw in a 46-degree banking, it looks like a wall, like totally, Duke. It looks like a wall, and people go, oh my gosh, like, how do you not fall down? Well, part of it is practicing, and this is what you do by spending a little bit of time. And, it's like what we call in the gym, you do a few reps, right? It's not you just get on the track once and you're a superstar, you're a rock star ready to go to the Olympics. It takes some practice, and that's the beautiful part. So you start at the bottom of the track and you slowly move your way up. There's 2 other safe spots to ride in. But what this means for Edmonton is that we have a Western City world-class facility. There's one outside of Toronto in Milton, which was built a number of years ago when I was inducted into the Cycling Hall of Fame. That was the only one indoor world-class covered that we had there, and they've done, World Cups there. We now have the Western Canada one. So it will mean that athletes from the Western provinces, BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, we have that opportunity to come and train and play and get really, really good at this. So there's, development programs, there's national team programs that are probably going to come out here as well. That's what I'm foreseeing. In March, we also have junior nationals. So that is those that are almost 16 to just before they're turning 18, before they become a senior recognized designation. So this is going to be really, really cool. The first big event, we're ready. We have been ready since October, and now it's officially official. So super exciting.
Olympic gold medalist from 2004, Lori Ann Munzer, with us here on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. So, Lori Ann, we're just days away from the opening ceremonies over in Italy, and actually events get going tomorrow, starting with some mixed doubles curling. Canada going to be taking on Czechia in the first match of the games, essentially, really, which is certainly exciting. I kind of wanted to dive into it a little bit with you about this final stretch of preparation, and some of the athletes, right? They don't all go over at the same time because based on when they actually are competing in their events. But for example, Kelsey Mitchell, we had her on last week, who's going to be going the 14th Canadian to participate in both the Winter and Summer Olympics. She doesn't race until the 20th, but she was heading over pretty much the next day after we chatted with her on Friday. So what does that timeline look like for these athletes when they still need to try and stay in their routine, do they go about their usual business to be ready for race day, for game day, whatever it may be? But it can be a little overwhelming at times, especially if maybe it's your first Olympic Games.
Oh, there's so much going on, and every athlete is going to be a little different. Number one is knowing when your event is happening. Like with Kelsey being almost near the end of the games, number one, being in the environment is amazing. There is an energy, Duke, that you cannot replicate. It is just, there's an energy, and that is contagious. So part and parcel of this is she will definitely know what her training times are. You're not going to have a lot of, sled time, so to speak, but then it's also, what are you doing to do your final preparation? She has a little bit more time. There's not going to be a whole lot more that she's going to gain physical strength, but it's maintaining the strength that you have, the speed that you do have, staying on top of what the routine is, as well as, up-leveling the mental capacity, because the mental capacity is what is going to make or break any athlete's performance. When you're with a team, even, a two-person bobsled, you have another person there. So you can bounce off ideas, you can bounce off questions, you can bounce off literally the fears, the doubts, the worries, and you can nip them like as soon as they come up so that they don't eat you up and take over where you are, what you're doing. And the biggest thing for all of the athletes is not to think that you're at the Olympics. Now, easier said than done, and it sort of sounds like an oxymoron, but it's another race, but it's like the highest level that you can possibly do. This is what we're training for. This is what we have been training for, whether it's 2 years or maybe a year like Kelsey. A lot of the athletes are on that 4-year cycle, and it's just, there is no room for error. So you have to make sure that you are in every aspect on top of your game, because you can't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, you may lose, like in curling, you may lose that point. And that point was that game changer that puts you into the final rounds or the quarterfinals or the semifinals. And it's just it's a total mental game, and you got to stand tall, you got to walk like you know what you're doing, even if you don't know what you're doing, or you're just about to, or you do know what you're doing. So then it's just the repetition. And it sounds really strange, but it's the same thing actors go through. You practice your lines, you practice the moves. I think about stunt men and stunt women just doing what they do, and they have practiced it so many times physically, but they've also practiced it visually, so mentally, so many times that it becomes second nature. And when you start thinking, that's when you get into trouble. And that's the one thing as an athlete, you don't want to overthink. You don't want to think too much. You want to get more into the flow, into the energy. Being is what we call it, so that you're present, you're hearing, you're seeing things, and then you don't tense up and choke.
Lori-Ann Munzer with us here on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440, mindset coach and Olympic gold medalist in 2004. So, Lori-Ann, you said something in there that really piqued my interest. You say about try not to treat it like the Olympics. And I absolutely believe you that can be beneficial in your approach to your own specific event. But at the same time, and you can speak on your own experience here as well as maybe other Olympic athletes you've interacted with over the years, like when you're there, whether it's in Italy, whether it's in France, whether it's in Vancouver, Salt Lake City, wherever, the opportunity to kind of immerse yourself in the Olympic spirit, whether that be in the village, going to take in some of the other events that are, close to where you're staying or where your venue is for your training and things like that. How do you toe that line of wanting to take advantage and really appreciate the moment, this mountain that you've climbed to be able to participate in the games, while not taking away from what you just broke down in your own preparation and distracting yourself from what is, your own event coming up on the either immediate horizon or a week away, a week and a half away, whatever it might be?
Number one, it's called flip the switch. If you don't flip the switch when it's game time, when it's show time, you are in big, big trouble. You're not going to produce. However, when you exit your venue after you finished your racing or whatever you want to call it, your whatever you want to call it, then you can become the kid in the Christmas store, because you can literally, Duke, this is something that happens maybe once in a lifetime. I was fortunate enough to do 2 Olympics. Kelsey Mitchell has done Summer Olympics. Now she's doing Winter Olympics. Look at Clara Hughes, decorated Canadian, only Canadian to win Winter and Summer Olympic medals. She has 6 medals. Like, that is incredible. And to be able to do 1 Olympic is a feat unto itself. So it's not to go just to participate. It's to go to do personal best, to win gold. And I don't ever hear anybody saying, oh, I don't want to win, right? We all want to win. We all want to be successful. So when you're off and finished your training, you're finished your races, your events, then it's time to press pause and look around, and your eyes are going to be big as saucers. Your heart is going to like burst out of your chest, because you're going, oh my gosh, I am at the Olympics. Like, there's only a small group of people that make it to this level that represent the country, and you are literally carrying all of Canada, whether you win a medal or not. And it's just enjoy the experience. If you have the opportunity to go see other events, do it. If you have other opportunities to, go out and experience the culture, who knows? Maybe it's the only time you're going to be in Milan. Go for the pizza. They got a Lindsey Vonn pizza, right? That's named after her. It's go and experience it. Part and parcel of this is just planning as much as you know. Go talk to people who have been there or who have been to Italy, and what are the best things to see? Maybe it's also having a holiday afterwards. So these are some of the things to think about. And it's not just, oh my gosh, I'm in this bubble and I'm only racing, I'm only competing, and I can't do everything else. I've been there, I've done that, and it sucks. You want to go and enjoy where you are, because if you don't, you get wound up so tight. You're just like a spring that's about to explode, and that will take away from your performance. So it's do both. When it's showtime, flick the switch, be in the moment, be the gladiator, be the monster, be the animal, whatever it is that, that persona is or that zone is that you need to get into it. And then go play, go look, go enjoy. but also think about where does my training and preparation leading to my ultimate performance that the world's watching, how does that all fit in? So sometimes say yes, and sometimes say, well, you know what, I got to go focus. I'll be back. Yeah.
Always a balancing act, right? Whether it be at the Olympics in life, take your pick across the board about some of those choices to make. And just really quickly to finish, Lorianne, I wanted to maybe get a comment from you about a name that you just referenced when talking about the pizza in Italy, and also a name that you and Kevin have bandied back and forth quite a bit over the past few weeks, and that being Lindsey Vonn. Returning to the Olympics at 41 years of age, suffering a really, really scary crash last week, but just kind of coming across the wire here this morning that she is in fact going to still compete in Italy, and that is with a ruptured ACL, which is the injury she suffered from that crash. I know you've been in Lindsey's corner this whole time about the great comeback story and the adversity overcome. Well, this is just another kind of block in her road that she's looking to get over to get back at participating on the ultimate stage.
This is so great. Bad news, ruptured ACL. What they can do is, I'm just going to call her Lindsey Wagner, the bionic woman, because I think that's what she really is. It's just where there's a will, there's a way, Duke. And number one, she's obviously in great medical hands to be able to set her up, to be able to go and compete. There probably will be some hesitation. I mean, you crash, you wipe out on a bicycle I don't think is catastrophic. It's a whole other ball game. Crashing on skis at, I don't know, they just go crazy speeds.
Yeah.
But to be able to come back, she is setting herself up for success. It is going to be not a 95% mental game. It will be a 99% mental game, because typically 5%, everybody is at the same physical level, but it's the 95% mindset. Hers is definitely going to be 99, and definitely she's going to have the support of, playing with a ruptured ACL. Nobody ever wants to do that. I think a lot of athletes, they pass, they go to rehab, they go through arthroscopic surgery or whatever is recommended, and then you've got the time. But number one, it's so close to game time, race day, that she has that to her advantage. And it's just a matter of her getting on the hill, going through it more mentally than physically, but being able to bring those two up so that they connect on the same, I'm going to call it vibration, energy wavelength. And I also toss it out there, if it's meant to be, she will do it. Yeah. So it's hurry up and wait. I mean, this is the hardest part. It's like, I love being an athlete because you knew exactly where you were, what you were doing, when you were doing it, how long. And oh boy, as the cheering squad here, it is hard because you have to wait and you have regular life, and it's a balancing act of, well, can I do some work and watch a lot of the coverage real time, live time. And I don't know, we have all of Canada cheering on our athletes. I'm in my heart cheering on Lindsey Vonn, number one, because she's a mature, older athlete. So you just never know. And that's sometimes luck of the draw, but it's not luck because these athletes have prepared for this moment.
Absolutely. Lorianne, enjoy this opening week of Olympic action from Italy. Like I said, we got mixed doubles curling getting going tomorrow. On Thursday, there's going to be some women's hockey kicking off, and then qualification for some snowboarding as well. So it's already upon us. It's crazy to say, all in advance of Friday's opening ceremonies, to officially begin this year's games in Europe. Thanks so much, Lorianne. KK will be back with you next Tuesday to catch up on everything that's happened between now and then. Take care.
Take care. Have a good week.
Lorianne Munzer, Olympic gold medalist in 2004 and a mindset coach as well. Speaking a little bit behind the scenes, what goes on between the ears with some of these top tier athletes. When we come back, we are going to give away a table for 6 to this Sunday's Super Bowl party at First Round, the big game. Table for 6, you get some drinks, you get some food, and you get entered in to win a home theater system, as well as other great prizes, jerseys, NFL swag, you name it. It's all happening down at First Round, and that is who's bringing you our Sports 1440 update. Sundays, even better at First Round. You can enter to win a number of things if you're lucky enough to get in to the party this week. Also, you got the Pro Bowl brunch only at Edmonton's NFL headquarters, First Round, downtown or on Bourbon Street, right here in West Edmonton Mall. Here is Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update. on the ice last night. The Sens took down the Pens 3-2. The Habs fell to the Wild 4-3 in overtime. The Stars edging out the Jets by that same score in overtime. The Hawks doubling up the Sharks 6-3. It was the Wings blanking the Avs 2-0. Sabres over the Panthers, and the Leafs toppling the Flames. MLB offseason action from last night saw a 3-team deal between the Mariners, Cardinals, and Rays. The Mariners getting all-star utility second baseman Brendan Donovan. The Rays grab Major League ready third baseman Ben Williamson, while the Cardinals get a group of 3 prospects highlighted by top 100 prospect switch pitcher Drangelo Senja and a couple of picks. On the hard court, the Rockets edging out the Pacers. The Grizzlies beat the T-Wolves, Clippers over Sixers, and Hornets over the Pelicans. Coming up, it is hour 3 of the Kevin Karius Show. Talk a little NFL Super Bowl coming up. I'm Donovan Paulson. That's Sports 1440 Update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
This hockey season, before every game, check out the pregame show with Andrew Walker on Sports 1440. It's brought to you by Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products. Visit titansupply.ca.
The job won't wait. Why should you? At AWS Welding Supplies and Repairs, conveniently located in Nisku, we've got everything you need to get it done. From product sales to servicing and calibrating machines, we're your one-stop shop. We're a proud, locally owned and operated business, committed to serving our community with a proven track record of customer service. Don't let a broken tool slow you down. We offer fast repairs and free same-day delivery of in-stock items to Leduc, Nisku, and South Edmonton. AWS Welding. We make it happen.
I'm getting McDonald's. You want anything?
Oh, yeah. I'll get I'm obviously going to get the McVeggie, medium fries and a medium fountain drink for $9.99. It's my favorite meal and it's new. Plus, if I get that, maybe he'll want it too. And then he'll always thank me for introducing him to the McVeggie. I'll be a hero.
So, McVeggie fries and drink?
How'd you know?
You were thinking out loud again. Get yourself a McVeggie meal for just $9.99 plus tax for a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants.
Exciting news from St. Albert Dodge. The all-new 2026 Jeep Gladiator Sport packages have arrived. They have a great selection and a bunch of colors to choose from. And if you've checked out the Sport, you know it comes in some fun colors. Rugged capability, practical off-road features, and you can get behind the wheel for as low as $49,900. That's right. Put yourself in a brand new Jeep Gladiator Sport for less than $50,000. What more can you ask for? Time to head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Whoa, I gotta put some money on the game tonight. We hit our monthly budget. Whoa, how did you get in here? I'm you, the responsible you. We're right. We'll play another time. Sounds more like us.
If you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca.
Invest for today and tomorrow. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your income tax, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams, whether it's retirement or your first home. The deadline to qualify for 2025 tax deductions is March 2nd. Learn more
Your game,
your station. Sports 1440.
and watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Just after 9 o'clock, welcome back into the Kevin Karius Show here on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in with you today will be for the rest of the week, as well as KK enjoying some well-deserved time off down in Mexico with his better half, Laura. We got Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson in studio with me as well. Coming up this hour on the program, Brady Henderson from ESPN covers the Seattle Seahawks. He will guest with us at 9:20 to tee up the big game, Super Bowl Sunday on the horizon between the Seahawks and the New England Patriots. The game being played in Santa Clara, California, home of the 49ers. Seahawks still favored. 4.5 points is the line. Most people I've seen out there, experts, personalities, writers, broadcasters, Joe Schmoes on Twitter like me, everyone's leaning Seahawks, which probably gives some a moment of hesitation, saying, if everybody's going right, I should go left. Patriots are a good team. It's not meant in any way to, I think, undermine what they've accomplished this year. Drake May, MVP caliber season. The defense, incredibly underrated. But I just think the Seahawks are a better team on aggregate. I think their offense is a little more dynamic. I think the defense is better overall. Special teams, both sides actually have pretty dynamic special teams. And you talk about return potential with Jones for New England, and then, of course, Rashid Shaheed on the Seahawks side. We are giving away a table for 6 to this Sunday's Party at First Round West Edmonton Mall. So right here, the mall that has it all on Bourbon Street. So it's up to 6 guests for your table. The total value, we're talking up to $3,000 total when you factor in everything included here. So, of course, you actually get your seats comped with priority seating, which is great. So you have the best view in-house to watch the game. A drink for everyone at the table, Bud Light, your preference, some kettle chips to snack on throughout the course of the afternoon. And then this is kind of really the best part. Your entry into the Super Bowl grand prize draw. Possibly to win a home theater system, talking TV, speaker system, and they got other stuff they're giving away to NFL swag, winning an NFL jersey. So it's a great outing. The environment's fun. We've already given away 3 tables so far, and we're going to give away a couple more over the course of this week, starting right now. Now, I know Connor Halley, he likes to keep it pretty lackadaisical with stuff on the text line. No, not on the morning show. This is a skill testing question. Is it a particularly difficult skill testing question? I don't think so. But in 2015, the Seahawks and the Patriots met in the Super Bowl for the 2014 season. The final play of the game lives in infamy of the play call choice by Pete Carroll to throw instead of run the ball with Marshawn Lynch at his disposal. The play was picked off, ending the football game. Who intercepted the pass? I already know Josh and Donovan know the answer because I didn't even tell them the question during the commercial break, but just in simply talking about this game and reflecting back, naturally we're drawn to the last time these two teams met in the Super Bowl. This player's name got brought up several times. So if you want to win this VIP package to watch the Super Bowl this Sunday at First Round with you, 5 of your buddies, drinks, chips, entry into all these great draws for prizes, text in 1-833-401-1440. Tell me who picked off the Russell Wilson pass that ended the 2015 Super Bowl where the Patriots defeated the Seattle Seahawks. It was played in Arizona, as we may recall. And, it was a great game. 28-24 the final. It sticks out in everyone's memory. Katy Perry was the halftime show. Remember Left Shark? Just up there doing his left thing? Lenny Kravitz, Missy Elliott made appearances during the show as well. I remember Lenny Kravitz. I do not remember Missy Elliott, admittedly. But I'll be honest, Super Bowl halftime shows, they all kind of blend together with a few exceptions. Donovan, what's your favorite halftime show in your lifetime?
Well, there's a very easy answer to that.
Okay.
And it has nothing to, has very little to do with the music. I think you know where
Let
I'm
me
going.
guess. Donovan Paulson's favorite halftime show was J-Lo and Shakira.
No. Yeah, it would be probably J-Lo.
You know what's
Shakira.
wild?
Very little to do with the
that
music.
game was not really close at any point, right? That was Chiefs and Niners go round number 1. The Chiefs whomped them.
Yeah.
But that halftime show,
dynamic.
So that was about a month after I had gotten ACL surgery, and I was still pretty hobbled up, just moving around on the crutches, and was in Delburne watching it at a buddy's house. We'd ordered in some pizza, nice casual, watching the game. The group of us in this guy's basement, I think there was 5 or 6 of us, were absolutely stunned by what we watched on that TV at halftime show. For all the, depending how you look at it, right or wrong reasons. Guess what, Donovan? It's my favorite halftime show, too.
It will never be beaten.
We don't need to get into the X's and O's of it, but listen, I'm a red-blooded man, hot-blooded. Thank you very much, Super Bowl, for that performance. Lots of right answers coming in. I don't think we've got a wrong one. If you're a first-time texter, of which there are several, attach your name to it. We got Jay Stang. First-time texter's got a right answer. Grazer, Tony, Randy, Brett. So many. Lots of right answers. So we'll, everybody that texts in the correct answer, we'll stick into the wheel. We'll spin it and pick ourselves a winner to go to first round right here at West Edmonton Mall on Bourbon Street and take in Sunday's game. Table for 6. Drinks, chips, entry into the draw. This goes under the radar. The priority seating, because at first round, if you've been to the one in the mall in particular, there's TVs everywhere. There are no bad seats in the house, but to get the VIP seating, the priority, that is next level. It's like you'll get a chance to feel like Donovan Paulson and Andrew Walker when watching Oilers games between pre and post game coverage. They walk into first round. There's a little reserved thing on the right at the bar, because that's where Donovan and Walks want to be closest to.
They don't even look at us when we're entering first round.
Those poor hostesses that are just trying to do their job, and Donnie and Walker essentially just flip them the bird as they walk right past up to their reserved seating.
We just strut right in. They know us. They know our names. You'll feel exactly like that. You'll walk in. You'll see the gigantic TVs on the wall. You'll see the numerous TVs up by the bar. You'll have the best seats in the house. And listen, first round's a great place. We love first round.
You don't got to tell me, man. Food's great, drinks are great.
One of the
Service
best
is
sports
excellent.
bars you'll ever find.
Absolutely. So people following up with their names. We got Chris Dandeman. That's a great handle. Fritz, Cam, Tiger, Gum King. No shortage of right answers today. Although Rod just texted in stones. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, not.
If that's your answer,
sure
Rod, that's incorrect. I'll just tell you outright. You can try again. So there you go. The question, in case you missed it, who had the interception on Russell Wilson's final pass attempt in the 2015 Super Bowl, which was the last time the Patriots and the Seahawks met in the big game? That's all we need is the name of the Patriots defensive player. Hammer. Here's an unknown Walker fact. His wife is a way better hockey player than him. Hey, Hammer, that's not unknown to me, buddy. I get to skate with Walker and Ange at least once a week, sometimes a couple times a week. Now, unfortunately, these Tuesday skates, Walker's been absent from quite a bit because the Oilers play a lot of Tuesday nights. But Ange is always there. She's unreal.
She played professionally.
That is true.
Overseas.
That is absolutely correct. And both of them will be making their debut for the CFCW Critters this Thursday in Fort Assiniboine. So you're going to want to come see this. I'll probably be there. I told Marty I'd go. I think they're a little short on numbers this week. It's too bad. Could make for a long Friday morning, but I digress. When we come back, we'll dive into the Super Bowl matchup with Brady Henderson from ESPN. He covers the Seahawks for the network, and busy week for Brady and the rest of the media crew down in Santa Clara. Hey, it's Pro Bowl Tuesday. Everyone's favorite day, Pro Bowl Tuesday. We'll get Brady's thoughts on that. We won't get Brady's thoughts on that, but we will dive into the game from a Seahawks perspective and how the team is looking in their preparation for Sunday's matchup. That's when we return. 9:40, we'll go in or out. 10 o'clock hour, Alex Doherty from the Tennessean cover the Nashville Predators, and Declan Kruger, our own man, in-house, Lowdown with Lowtide and Elks Nation, will also guest with us. Brady Henderson right after the break. Brandon Douglas sitting in for KK on the Kevin Karius Show here on Sports 1440. Donovan Paulson and Josh Fenwick both alongside as well. We're back right after the break. You can watch us streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Top quality flooring, locally owned, and Canadian products from Beaulieu. Yeah, that's CFI.
CFI what?
No, CFI, Custom Floors, Inc.
From free estimate to professional installation, contact Custom Floors Inc. at customfloorsinc.ca.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Happy New Year. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for everything in 2025. With your help and your support, we fed almost 500 families. We donated to various charities in the Edmonton area, and we're going to do it again in 2026. Please stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey, Culligan. I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at culligan.ca.
This hockey season, before every game, check out the pregame show with Andrew Walker on Sports 1440. It's brought to you by Titan Supply, your only source for rigging, lifting, and hauling products. Visit titansupply.ca.
Whoa, I gotta put some money on the game tonight. We hit our monthly budget. Whoa, how did you get in here? I'm you, the responsible you. We're right. We'll play another time. Sounds more like us.
If you gamble, use your game sense. Visit GameSenseAB.ca.
Invest for today and tomorrow. Vision Credit Union makes it simple with 2 RRSP options to fit your goals. Choose a secure term deposit RRSP with guaranteed returns or a mutual fund RRSP offering higher growth potential with exciting opportunities. With an RRSP, you'll save on your income tax, grow your investments tax-free, and get closer to your dreams. Whether it's retirement or your first home, the deadline to qualify for 2025 tax deductions is March 2nd. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Measles outbreaks are occurring in Canada, including Alberta. These outbreaks are highly preventable. Measles is an extremely contagious disease that is spread easily through the air. The best way to protect yourself, your family, and your community is to ensure you are up to date with your immunizations. Don't get measles. Get immunized. Visit alberta.ca/measles to find out if you're up to date and what to do if you're not. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Oh, Canada. Jiffy Lube is here to keep you moving through mornings like these. Full synthetic oil changes, quality Pennzoil products, tire checks, battery tests, and everything else your car needs to get through our winters. Stop by Jiffy Lube for fast, easy, warranty-approved service. No appointment, no hassle. Just dependable service right when you need it. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving through this.
Welcome to Uncommon. Welcome to Subaru. Engineered for Canadian winters, built for real-life confidence. Tackle the ice and snow with Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive, delivering the power, control, stability, and grit you need. And when the temperature plummets, you'll cruise in comfort with heated seats and heated steering wheel. All this plus peace of mind with Subaru's top safety pick status for 19 years running. This winter, it's time to get you into a Subaru. Visit Subaru.ca today.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
Every morning, you look in the mirror and see less of yourself. Hair loss can feel like losing a part of who you are.
But it doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we understand the pain of hair loss. Our advanced hair restoration solutions won't just bring back your hair, they'll help you face the mirror with confidence.
Good morning, you sexy beast.
Visit drvanceelliott.com today because it's time to be the man you remember.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Here, you can take your time, explore the latest Fords, and enjoy the no-pressure atmosphere. It's not just about cars. It's about family, comfort, and trust. The coffee's on, so drive in.
The Kevin Karius Show, breaking down Edmonton's favorite teams, even though his favorite Junior A hockey team is the Yorkton Terriers. Thanks for checking in with Sports 1440.
Welcome back to the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Kevin this morning. I got Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson, both alongside as well. 9:22 here in the City of Champions, and the weather continues to look pretty favorable for those of us here in the capital region. High of 3 degrees today, looking like it's going to remain hovering around zero, well, right through to Super Bowl Sunday. A little bit of precipitation in the mix as well. High of 5. Tomorrow and Thursday. Absolutely balmy for this time of year. And then a little bit of a dip, some highs still above zero, but getting a little bit colder in the lows as we move through February. But yeah, the 10-day forecast is looking pretty good right now. Just awaiting the arrival of Brady Henderson from ESPN covering the Seahawks to tee up Sunday's Super Bowl matchup between the Hawks and the New England Patriots in Santa Clara, San Francisco, California. And our question for a chance to win a first round package that will get you and 5 friends into the Super Bowl watch party this Sunday here at the West Edmonton Mall location. The question was, what Patriots player had the fateful game-deciding interception the last time these two teams met in the Super Bowl in 2015? The decisive choice by Pete Carroll made a lot of sense. You're on the 1-yard line. Run the ball. You got Marshawn Lynch. He's beast mode. But Carroll outfoxing himself, goes for the pass, intercepted. Who was that player? We will have a winner announced as we return in 9:40. Just got a text back from Brady there, fellas. Do you mind just trying to send Brady the link again? Says not seeing it there. So we'll do our best to get him the appropriate methods of joining the program. Text line 1-833-414-1440. If you have any questions for Brady about the game, I'm happy to dive into it with him. Sorry, just sliding my cell phone over to Donovan in case they do just need to call Brady, then we can use that route as well. But this text came in from Team Dean. And Dean, I kind of thought we answered this yesterday. I'm not really sure on the revisiting of it. And it's an Oilers question. So we'll put a quick pause on our football talk as we connect with Brady. Gregor is finally admitting that Nurse is playing awful. Do you think he would waive his no trade to go to Toronto if they were willing to do a swap for Riley? At least with Riley, a change of scenery didn't work. You could buy him out in a year from Team Dean. Well, Dean, as we said yesterday, and in case you weren't listening and just send these messages in for the sake of doing so, hey, we appreciate the content and contributions. Why would Darnell Nurse do this? He is playing for a team that is probably going to make the playoffs and has been to 2 straight Stanley Cup finals. Yeah, his play has not been very good this year. Full stop. It's been the positive elements of Darnell Nurse's game have been fleeting. And some of the puck management issues continue to crop up much more regularly. But just put yourself in Darnell Nurse's shoes. You've lived here your entire career. You've played for this one team. You're good friends with a lot of guys on the team. They like you, right? They think you're a valuable member. You would waive to be traded back to your hometown, which I think is Team Dean's point here. But a hometown that is a team that is struggling is even more of a fishbowl than Edmonton. That's hard to believe, but it's true. So if you're struggling, it's magnified even greater than it is here. And it's on a team that's probably going to miss the playoffs. Why would Darnell Nurse waive to do that? That's my question. If you have a genuine answer, I'm all ears. But is his motivation, in your opinion, strictly, I want to go back to where I'm from in Toronto? He's lived in Edmonton. He was drafted in 2014. Made the team a couple years later. Like, we're talking 10 years he's lived in Edmonton. This is his home. So, Dean, I can appreciate the creativeness on trying to change things for the Oilers decor right now, but I cannot envision that happening. Never say never. I almost never do rule anything out of the total realm of possibility, but I would be very surprised if that were to happen. Very, very surprised. We are ready to rock with our buddy Brady Henderson from ESPN in Seattle, covering the Seahawks, getting ready for Super Bowl Sunday between the Hawks and the New England Patriots. Brady, good morning. Thanks for hopping back on Sports 1440 with Brandon Douglas, sitting in for Kevin this week. Appreciate your time during what I'm sure is an absolutely crazy week down in Santa Clara. Thank you very much for hopping on.
Well, yeah, you got it. I'm sorry we couldn't make the video link work. I will say nobody needs to be looking at my ugly mug at whatever time it is in the morning. So probably a good thing that we're doing this on the phone.
No sweat at all. And believe me, our viewers, if they're forced to look at me over the course of 4 hours, you absolutely could not be any worse. I'll promise you that, Brady. But like I said, appreciate your time. I'm sure it's been crazy the first couple of days. Down there getting ready for Sunday's game. It is a Pro Bowl day, and the change this year obviously being they're hosting the event at Super Bowl site, or at least in the same vicinity. Is it getting any play outside of the fact that some of the names that have been added to the Pro Bowl roster in the games leave a lot to be desired in terms of overall talent and ability?
No. I mean, no. The short answer is no. The Pro Bowl is just such an afterthought. I mean, and I say that knowing that, like, even when they were still playing the actual game, as non-competitive and as silly as it looked, people would still tune into it, which I guess just shows the power of the NFL, that even like a completely watered down, in my opinion, useless product still gets watched.
Yeah.
So, they've reimagined it, but certainly I'm paying zero attention to it while covering the Super Bowl, and I frankly would not be paying any attention to it even if I was sitting at home on my couch.
Yeah, you can put myself in that same camp, Brady. It's a far fall from what was at least once a watchable product to where we're at now with it. But hey, that's fine. It's the NFL's prerogative. They can do with it as they see fit. All of our focus, of course, is actually on the big game on Sunday between the Hawks and the Patriots. So you watch the Seattle team game in and game out all year, years accumulated together here. Sam Darnold, obviously the feel-good story of the season, or one of them anyway, after the turnaround in Minnesota, and now getting a chance to be the full-time undisputed starter with the big money deal in Seattle. Watching him game to game, there's still some doubters out there, but what say you about how Sam Darnold has transformed this version of the Seahawks offense to where they are now playing in a Super Bowl?
Yeah, he's played really well for the most part this season, and obviously there have been some rough patches in there. The 4 interception game against the Rams in November, he ended up leading the NFL with 20 turnovers in all. Not that every turnover that goes on his ledger, is always on his fault. That's sort of the way it works with quarterbacks. He's played really well, and I think when you're evaluating Sam Darnold, I think we've got to all get out of this mindset that you're either the greatest quarterback ever or you suck.
Right.
We got to realize there is a lot of in between there. And Darnold has been the quarterback that they need. They don't, by and large, have not needed him to be the hero every game. When you have a defense as good as the Seahawks is, their special teams have been the best special teams unit in the NFL. So, when you see Darnold play a game like he did in that first playoff game, where he only throws 17 passes, sometimes they only need him to do that. And I think, even in that game and also in, the game before that in week 18, that was a game where their defense was playing so well that they just needed the quarterback to make a few plays. And he's shown that he can play that style of football. He's also shown that, when they need him to put the offense on his shoulders, he can do that, and he threw 3 touchdown passes in the NFC Championship game. So, I would just sort of challenge people to realize that, not every quarterback has to be Patrick Mahomes or has to be Josh Allen. You need to play quarterback the way your team needs you to play it. And with their defense and special teams, a lot of times they don't really need Darnold to be the hero. The other thing I would tell people about Darnold is that pay attention to what teammates say about him. This guy is completely revered, respected in the Seahawks locker room, the same way he was in the Vikings locker room last year. There's that great clip of the Vikings, waiting to celebrate in the locker room after that, I think week 16 or 17 win over the Packers. Darnold had some TV obligations, and then as soon as he walks into the locker room, they just start celebrating. They mob him, lift him on his shoulders. That is the kind of guy that Darnold is, the kind of guy that teammates, want to play for. And you heard it, even when he threw those 4 interceptions, you heard Ernest Jones, come to his defense. The guy on the other side of the ball, mind you, come to his defense and say all sorts of, heap all sorts of praise on him and defend him. And so, yeah, Darnold, that's the other piece of the Darnold story, is just how respected he is in Seattle's locker room.
ESPN's Brady Henderson with us here on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Teeing up Sunday's Super Bowl matchup between the Hawks and New England. So, and health-wise for Darnold, is still kind of that lingering oblique thing that he was tagged with going into championship week, or where are we at with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not nothing. It's something that is still as good as he looked in that game. Didn't really look affected by it at all, but it still has had him listed as a limited participant. It's been 7 injury reports the Seahawks have released since Darnold hurt his oblique on January 15th. He's been listed as limited on all 7 of those. He said last night the oblique feels great, which is pretty much what he's been saying about it all along. But they have had to kind of curtail his throwing in practice in order to make sure that he's ready to go for game time. And so we'll see what, they'll release their next practice report tomorrow when they get back on the practice field. Obviously no practice today as they try to keep their normal weekly practice routine. They just did a workout yesterday after, coming off the plane. And so after arriving Sunday, I should say. So we'll start to get a better feel for it tomorrow. But yeah, it's never been something that was going to keep him out of this game, certainly.
Sticking with the offense for a moment, Brady. I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba has vaulted himself, very rightfully so, into that conversation with the likes of Jefferson, Chase, Puka Nacua, and a few others certainly can garner consideration as the very best wide receiver that the NFL has to offer right now. He has support from the likes of Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed's been a great addition to the receiver group. But, when it comes to Njigba in Sunday's game, any defense that think they can go one-on-one with them is crazy. But how do the Patriots, in your eyes, if they want to try and minimize JSN's impact on this game, how do they go about doing it?
Well, I don't profess to be like any sort of X's and O's expert, but if I was calling defense, no defense would be in the Super Bowl if I was calling plays. But one of the few teams that really managed to bottle him up was the Vikings. back in, second half of the season, where that was the first time and one of the few times where a defense has really stopped him. And so if I'm the Patriots, I am looking to what Brian Flores, who of course came up with the Patriots under Bill Belichick on those coaching staffs, I'm looking at what they did because not many teams have been able to do that. And, we've seen Smith and Jigba go off several times this season. We've also seen him, some other teams have kind of limited him to a few catches, but then he'll still, really make the ones that he does catch, the plays that he does make count. You saw him score a touchdown in the divisional round game when he, didn't do a whole lot else aside from that. So, the Seahawks have plenty of options, like you said, in the passing game with Cooper Kupp, a guy who's been on this stage before, Rashid Shaheed, who has made most of his impact in the return game. But, you saw for the first time since they acquired him in that midseason trade, you saw him in the championship game make a play on a deep ball, which, for as much as they've gotten him involved, obviously in the return game, but, they've given him the ball on end arounds and gotten him involved in the offense sort of as a runner and as a short intermediate receiver. That was the first time. I think it was a 50-something yard catch early in that title game. First time they've really gotten him involved in the deep passing game, which in New Orleans, you were talking about one of the best deep threats in all of the NFL. So for whatever reason, that part of his game hasn't really showed up in Seattle. But you saw what he can do there on that big play early on in the title game.
ESPN's Brady Henderson covering the Seahawks with us here on the Kevin Karius Show. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Kevin this morning. Over the defensive side, this is really obviously with head coach Mike Macdonald being a defensive guy, the team's bread and butter. And the list of names that are impact type guys in this unit you can run down is really exceptional. Lawrence, Murphy, Williams, Witherspoon, Bryant on the back end. But is it too soon as a rookie to say that Nick Emenwari is Mike Macdonald's guy and kind of will be the focal point, the center point of this defense for many years to come?
He'll be one of them. Yeah. I mean, they've got a few, I would say Devin Witherspoon, I was talking to one of their defensive coaches yesterday who described him as the heart and soul of the team.
Okay.
Just because of the kind of way that he plays. But Emenwari is certainly, is and will continue to be for quite a while a very central piece of that, and really a kind of a different piece, just with what his versatility allows him to do. And, he played safety in college. He was mostly sort of a deep safety in college who would sometimes come up and play in the box. He's, often he's referred to as a nickelback just by virtue of, being the fifth nominal defensive back on the field at any given time. But this guy really sort of defies positions. Like he's kind of one of the positionless players that you sometimes see in today's NFL. I mean, in some cases, he's kind of playing Sam linebacker.
Yeah.
And there's just so many things that they can do with him. You might see him, making a big play in the backfield when a team tries to run at him on one moment, and then he's in the slot covering Justin Jefferson, premier receivers like that, receivers of different body types. He can cover those guys. So there's just so many different things that they can do out of the same personnel grouping. And, Mike Macdonald will tell you that is very beneficial to be able to not have to sub out personnel, swap out personnel to match what the offense's personnel is. You can do whatever you want to do out of that personnel grouping because Emenwari can do so many different things.
Yeah, getting some comparisons to what Mike Macdonald was able to do with Kyle Hamilton back in Baltimore, obviously. And those are some pretty lofty comparisons for a rookie player. But when you watch him this year, it's pretty easy to see why he's garnering them all the same. Brady, you mentioned Cooper Kupp on the offensive side as a guy who's been here before, right, with the Rams as a Super Bowl champion. Overall, this is a pretty green team top to bottom. On the defensive side, you have Ernest Jones, of course, also previously with the Rams. And those two guys, how much does that experience really matter in a week like this when the Super Bowl, it is another game, playoff game, but it is different, right? You're talking about pomp and circumstance and the media and everything that all rolls into Sunday's game. How valuable in your eyes is having guys like Kupp and Ernest Jones on this roster?
Yeah, it's a good point. And, they got a couple other guys. Cam Akers was the running back on that Rams team that won the Super Bowl 4 years. He's, kind of a role player for Seattle now, but he did actually have to, maybe have a greater role now that Zach Charbonnet is out. And then, they got one other guy, Josh Jobe, who's one of their starting corners, who was, played in the Super Bowl with Philadelphia a few years ago. And it is a good point because this is, by and large, a younger team, but very veteran in some spots, especially up front on the defensive line with, 10-plus year guys in Jaron Reed, Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence. So a very veteran group in certain spots. And it's a good point because this week is as much as they try to keep it the same, it is very different. And, the media obligations are different. You got people from every corner of the world who are coming and, asking different types of questions. And so as a player, I think it would be easy to kind of get out of your rhythm and to just feel like you're not in your normal routine. But so I think it helps having guys like that. And there's kind of a fun backstory to how Cooper Kupp and the Seahawks came to be. Those guys, Cooper Kupp and Ernest Jones, were obviously teammates with the Rams. And as Cooper Kupp was deciding on where he would play next after the Rams moved on from him last offseason, he got a text from Ernest Jones saying that, the Seahawks it was basically a big recruiting pitch. And in that, he told him that the Seahawks were on the cusp of a championship. Wow. And after that NFC championship game, Kupp told us that Jones sent him a text message basically replying to the one that he had sent over the offseason and said, "I told you so."
Man. Unreal. Awesome story, Brady. Hey, I know how busy you are this week. I really appreciate you taking some time with us this morning. Enjoy the rest of it. Enjoy Sunday's game, and we will look forward to catching you up again, I'm sure, as the offseason does progress. Crazy to think another season already set to be put in the books. Brady, appreciate it. Take care. Enjoy the weekend.
You got it, Brandon. Thanks for having me. See ya.
Brady Henderson, ESPN, covers the Seattle Seahawks down there. Very great insight, and that's a really cool story about the Cooper Kupp recruitment to Seattle, the little exchange with a former teammate in Ernest Jones. When we come back, we will go in or out. Donovan has a list, maybe. I don't have my phone. I don't have my email tab open. I'm just going to assume it's in there waiting for me. All right, we got Donnie. We'll get Josh in the mix here, I'm sure, as well. In the 10 o'clock hour, Alex Doherty from the Tennessean covers the Nashville Predators will give us a little insight on this surprise change from Barry Trotz, who's going to be stepping down as general manager until a successor is found, remain in the position. And then Declan Kruger from the Lowdown with Lowtown and Elks Nation will hop in to talk a little CFL free agency, NBA, it's trade deadline week, college basketball well underway and ready to pick up a little bit of steam heading into March as well. When we come back, in or out on the docket here on the Kevin Karius Show. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Kevin. Sports 1440. You can watch us. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Do you sit around at work listening to sports radio all day? That's right, my friend. There's no shame in it. It's the good life. And we're not here to snitch. Say, if your company advertised on Sports 1440, you could be the one listening for your company's ad every day. Now you've got an excuse to listen to Sports 1440 all day. It's part of the job. Sounds like someone's getting a promotion. Email Gregor at sports1440.ca and let's get to work for you.
Remember 2025? That's so last year. But seriously, St. Albert Dodge needs to clear some 2025 models off the lot to make room for new inventory. So they're having a huge clear out of all the remaining new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Saharas. The Sahara package is the best seller, so they have a great selection to choose from and priced from as low as $59.9. I don't have to tell you, these are going to go fast. So get there before they are gone. Just head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Diablo Boots sells only Canadian-made work and biker boots made by Canada West. No American or boots made in China, so no tariffs. All of Diablo's boots have replaceable soles and heels for longer life. Sizes 6 to 14 Triple E. Buy quality, buy Canadian. And support Canada West and Diablo, the two best names in the boot business. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Buy Canadian. They're terrific.
Measles outbreaks are occurring in Canada, including Alberta. These outbreaks are highly preventable. Measles is an extremely contagious disease that is spread easily through the air. The best way to protect yourself, your family, and your community is to ensure you are up to date with your immunizations. Don't get measles. Get immunized. Visit alberta.ca/measles to find out if you're up to date and what to do if you're not. A message from the
Stories, guests, and insights. This is Sports 1440 and the Kevin Karius Show.
Sports 1440, welcome back into the program. Brandon Douglas, Donovan Paulson, Josh Femick, all in studio today. And our winner for the table of 6 at first round for Super Bowl Sunday, drinks, chips, entry into all the great draws, including a $3,000 home entertainment system, TV, sound system, the works. I stuck them all in to the wheel, and I spun it. Round and round it went. There were tons of right answers. Well, let's help with this. There were no wrong answers. Even Rod, where I previously said he just texted in the word Stones, which was confusing. That was in reference to his favorite halftime show. So not a wrong answer, just a misinterpreted text message. So listen, we had 40-odd people text in at least. And the winner, I know he's going to be pumped because he's been jonesing for it for the past week and a half. Bad Niv, you are our winner. Send me a text with your full contact information, name, address, phone number, email, all that, and we'll get you set up with the fellas over at First Round to make sure you're prepared to head over and watch the Super Bowl on Sunday right here in the mall that has it all. First Round on Bourbon Street. Right now, it's time for Are You In or Are You Out?
Okay, you know what? Moving too fast. Bottom line, are you in?
Man, these are really good.
In or out of what? No time for questions, just action. In or out?
Nurse,
Then I'm out.
I'm
sorry, Jack. You're already in.
Are you in or are you out?
On Sports 1440.
I thought you would go, I'm in, Bob. We would have had a really cool moment, but you kind of ruined the whole thing.
Yeah, really.
Oh, whoops. Hard stop there. My bad on the hard stop. However, we do have my bad on
we
the
have
hard
a
stop.
segment.
We do have a segment, and the first question, or the first statement, sorry.
Yeah, there we
the
go.
Oiler who needs the Olympic break the most is Darnell Nurse. You could go a couple different ways with this, but to me, it's Darnell Nurse.
That's a good answer, and I'm sure our friend Team Dean on the text line would agree, as he's proposed a Nurse to Toronto trade. Darnell Nurse, Spencer Stastny, Andrew Mangiapane, Ike Howard, and a second-round pick for Morgan Riley, Brandon Carlo, and Brandon McMahon.
Bobby
McMahon. Brandon Carlo, Bobby McMahon.
You
Thank
combined
you. I mashed them together. Brandon Carlo, Bobby McMahon. Thank you. Interesting trade proposal, Dean. If I was a Toronto Maple Leafs, I would be hanging up the phone, but that's okay. So I'm going to be out, though, Donnie, and I'm going to say it's a little bit of a cop-out answer, but I'm just going to say the goaltending tandem.
Really? I thought you would go I thought you'd go Trent Frederick. There's a lot of choices.
I'll be honest, when it comes to Trent Frederick, I'm out of rope. Like, it was, this guy needs the Christmas break. This guy needs, this little couple days off when the Oilers have actually a few days off between games. It's just clearly he's fighting it this year. And all of a sudden, it's 3 weeks off. Going to change something? I'm not sold it will. I would be welcome it with open arms should he return in late February for this trip in California and look like a different player. That'd be great. But I'm just not there. I think he's just going to be plugging away on the third and fourth line and not really doing much of anything for the rest of the year. The Oilers goaltenders, the last handful of times out for each of them has not been great. So essentially, since they each posted a shutout, since then, they have not been great. Circumstance matters. Team hasn't been playing softer defense in front of them. Grade A chances, on and on and on. But I'll say the goaltenders.
That's a good answer. I tend to lean Nurse just purely because I think we would recognize if this team wants to get to where it intends and where it's hoping with the Stanley Cup. I think Darnell Nurse needs to be at his best, and what we've seen from Darnell Nurse this year, I know you've heard Greg's talking about it, and everyone's kind of talked about it station wide, but like, man, he has just not cut it this year whatsoever. This might be some of the worst hockey he's ever played, and the guy is beyond fighting it. Where a guy like Trent Frederick, is he going to be the difference maker come Stanley Cup time? No, probably not.
Yeah.
Darnell Nurse, man, if he's playing like this, the Oilers are definitely not going to make it as far as they hope.
Yeah.
Off to number 2 here. The NHL team that needs to be the biggest seller come deadline day is the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah. I'm in, because you look at the two teams that currently toil at the bottom of the standings. It's the Canucks and the Rangers. And the Rangers are a team we've talked about. They have a lot of pieces that teams kind of want, but a lot of them have really bad contracts attached to them, or contracts that are hard to fit in, even if they're not bad contracts. Maybe a bad collective term used by me there. So I don't know. You look around the rest of it, like who else is going to be a major seller? You'd think the Flames, but they seem just hell-bent on never actually doing that. So the Canucks, yeah, I absolutely think this is, I'm in on this for sure.
The thing with the Rangers, I wanted to say Rangers, but they just, yeah, as you mentioned, they have contracts that are almost immovable midseason. Like Mika Zibanejad will be a very easy trade candidate this offseason. If they want to move on from JT Miller, easy trade candidate this offseason. But man, like the only guys you could probably trade midseason on this roster outside of Panarin are maybe if you want to move on from a guy like Sam Carrick, he'd be an easy move. But that's about it. Like this is a roster that is just so stuck in limbo between, they have some really young guys, they have some really old guys. It's just such a weird roster that doesn't make any sense. Whereas you look at Vancouver and you've got a lot more stomachable guys to move. Like you can move a Kane, you can move a DeBrusk. There's a lot more options in Vancouver. Off to number 3. The Olympics getting underway this week.
Oh, baby.
The most underappreciated winter Olympic sport is figure skating.
Is it underappreciated?
I feel like a lot of people dog on figure skating, man.
Well, those are people that are a little uncomfortable in their own masculinity, I would guess, because you see it and it seems like a feminine sport. But then you actually think about the physical toll, the physical necessities that are required to do this. It's like, dude, this is insane. Picture an ice hockey player, and everyone loves to rush to the podium to talk about how hockey players are the best athletes in the world because they're doing everything all these other guys are doing, moving, changing direction. You reach these top speeds, they're all doing it on a thin little blade of steel on frozen water. Cool. I'll hear that argument. I love it. The figure skaters are doing the exact same thing, but they're jumping 5 feet in the air, spinning at speeds that generate the type of centripetal force that could separate blood. It's insane. They deserve a ton of credit. Dude, there's a collection, a figure skating club of some variety. I don't know. They practice here in the Ice Palace during the week, a lot of time during around lunchtime. When Connor and I go for walks, we love to stop and watch them. And they're just practicing. Now, they're practicing for their routines and stuff, obviously, but to see some of the jumps and the tricks and the spins that the men, women, boys, girls, doesn't matter. Some of them are so young and they're just reaching incredible heights on these jumps, speed on these spins. So if you think people dog on it, then I'm in on it, but I'm not sure they do. I think people recognize how impressive it is.
I don't. In a lot of discussions I've had, whether that's personal life, whether
with all
that's,
your boys, you and the boys in the group chat be like, man, you know what sport sucks? Figure skating.
Hey, you know what? I used to underappreciate figure skating myself. I'll put my hand up and I'll say, listen, I didn't appreciate it as much as I should. And then I watched it in person and it was a totally different story. I mean, I think some people just look at figure skating and you look at like synchronized swimming. And I don't think people appreciate that either, right? Like the amount of core strength that you need to do something like synchronized swimming, where you look at it and might look ridiculous to you,
Mhm.
but you think, oh my God, that is unbelievably hard. I view those two kind of in the same light where people look past it and go, is it really that difficult? Maybe I'm just the idiot here, but that's how I see things.
Hey, it's fair point.
Off to number 4. The Jays yesterday announced a Joe Carter home run statue. To me, more teams need to make these single moment type of statues.
I think I'm probably in on this because flags fly forever, right? Single championships. People often say you only do stuff like statues for the all-time greats. And that makes a lot of sense, but also not every team, every franchise, every building gets to host or have an all-time great play for them or achieve the pinnacle for them. So to recognize your own franchise and its accomplishments within that barrier or within that subgroup, like Wayne Gretzky didn't play for everyone, but his jersey is retired across the whole league. Rightfully so. He's the best to ever do it. I think LA and Edmonton have Wayne Gretzky statues. Absolutely. Never won a cup in LA. Doesn't mean he wasn't an all-time great. So when you talk about Joe Carter, you talk about the Kawhi Leonard shot for the Raptors, things like that absolutely should be memorialized and held in time in history. The thing I'll say, for me, it probably hinges on championships.
And that's where we agree. I think it does hinge on championships, no question. Like if the Jays would have won the World Series, that Bo Bichette home run would have been right up there probably in terms of something that you'd want to memorialize and remember forever. There's been so many moments in sports history that not necessarily slipped through the cracks, but some people don't always remember them as much as some moments you maybe should. So for the Joe Carter home run, I think this is probably the first of many, this statue, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I love the idea of these single moment type of statues, and especially for a guy like Joe Carter, where he is a franchise icon because of that home run and some other stuff. But like Joe Carter, make no mistake, this isn't like one of the top 25 players in baseball history. This is just a guy who had a massive moment, who is a really iconic franchise face.
Mm-hmm. And so once again, then to counter that, like if we're just sticking in this Blue Jays discussion, something like that deserves it. As much as we all associate the Jose Bautista home run against the Rangers, and honestly, take your pick of any number of moments from this past fall's run to the World Series, they didn't win. They came up short. They won the pennant this year in the American League, which has a lot of value, but baseball isn't really about that anymore. It's about winning a championship, and that's the World Series. So I would hesitate to be like, you don't need a Joey Bat statue. You don't need a Vladdy or a Springer or a Bo statue for what they did this past fall. But Joe Carter, I mean, it is a one-of-one moment to walk off the World Series.
Absolutely, right. And the Joey Bats, you've got the mural for Joey Bats.
Yeah,
like that's
good point.
That's a great type of mural thing. It is one of those home runs that's iconic as hell, but it doesn't get you over the top. The Joe Carter one gets you over the top. That is the moment you memorialize as a statue. It has to be some standard to get a statue.
Mm-hmm.
But off to number 5, the final one here. Today's known as the day the music died. If we were to get one more album from a musician who sadly passed away a little bit too soon, mine would be John Bonham from Led Zeppelin.
So do you want his Led Zeppelin album or do you want a John Bonham album?
Well, Led Zeppelin, but the reason Led Zeppelin broke apart and the reason we never got another real Led Zeppelin album is because he died.
Mm-hmm.
So
all right,
together I kind of
that's
grouped it as one.
That's on board. I'm game for that. I'm out. I like classic rock music, but I didn't grow up on it. It doesn't hold that piece of me like so many other things do. I have kind of two answers. My more genuine one is probably Keith Whitley, who also passed away much too soon. in the 90s. So that's pretty tough. He was celebrated, great songwriter. I love his voice. Awesome artist. And then my next one, a little bit off the board. I think this might be a more popular one. Tupac or Biggie, right? Is that like a cop-out answer? And the thing is, we did kind of get that because they each had, I think, 1 or 2 posthumous albums, I believe. Well, Biggie's, it was literally called Life After Death. So, but yeah, because like we talk about those 2 guys as like some of the best ever, but their careers were so short, relatively speaking. Is that fair? So I'd like to see them push something else out. Excuse me. It'd be like, were they the GOATs?
You know what? I love that answer from you. We talk about those guys as icons, as some of the best to ever do it. So yeah, if you have that title attached to you, just getting one extra album, it would go such a long way. And there's other guys you could say this about. There's so many. I'm sure we're going to get in on the text line, whether that's an Elvis, whether that's a Jimi Hendrix, the absolute GOAT, in my opinion, of guitar. There's so many great options you could go with, but for me, it's Bonham and Led Zeppelin. For you, Tupac, Biggie. Those are fantastic answers too.
Awesome. Great question, Donovan. Get your text in 1-833-401-1440. Do you have a musician, an artist that is no longer with us that you would want to hear one more record from? You can get it into us and we'll dive into it in the 10 o'clock hour. We got to get to our Sports 1440 update because we've got Alex Doherty waiting for us on the other side of the break. This update brought to you by AWS Welding Supplies in Nisku. Product sales, servicing, calibrating, and free same-day delivery of in-stock items to Leduc, Nisku, and South Edmonton. Your one-stop shop for all things welding, awswelding.ca. Here is Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It is game day as the Oilers host the Toronto Maple Leafs. Puck drop going just after 6:30. Expect to see Tristan Jarry in between the pipes. Other games around the NHL, the Sens are in Carolina to battle the Hurricanes. The Flyers host the Caps. It is Devils and Blue Jackets. Pens clash with the Islanders on Long Island. The Sabres battle the Lightning, and the Anaheim Ducks hosting the Seattle Kraken. Of course, in case you missed it, the MLB 3-team trade last night saw Brendan Donovan going to the Seattle Mariners. The Rays getting a future Major League ready third baseman, and a package of prospects went over to the St. Louis Cardinals. Coming up on Sports 1440, it's hour 4 of the Kevin Karius Show. We'll check in Nashville to hear about the Barry Trotz news right after the break. I'm Donovan Paulson. That's your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Catch the biggest game on the biggest screens in the city. River Free Resort and Casino invites you to the ultimate football watch party this Sunday in the venue. 3 giant screens, all-you-can-eat buffet, desserts and snacks, $5.25 drink features, and tons of prizes. Don't miss River Free's ultimate football watch party with premium VIP seating available. Tickets at riverfreeresort.com.
River Free Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Catch the biggest game on the biggest screens in the city. River Free Resort and Casino invites you to the ultimate football watch party this Sunday in the venue. 3 giant screens, all-you-can-eat buffet, desserts and snacks, $5.25 drink features, and tons of prizes. Don't miss River Free's ultimate football watch party with premium VIP seating available. Tickets at riverfreeresort.com.
River Free Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Welcome to Uncommon. Welcome to Subaru. Engineered for Canadian winters, built for real-life confidence. Tackle the ice and snow with Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive, delivering the power, control, stability, and grit you need. And when the temperature plummets, you'll cruise in comfort with heated seats and heated steering wheel. All this plus peace of mind with Subaru's top safety pick status for 19 years running. This winter, it's time to get you into a Subaru. Visit Subaru.ca today.
just in time for the morning skate. This is the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440.
Just after 10 o'clock, welcome back into the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Kevin this morning, will be so for the rest of the week as well. KK back on Monday after a very well-deserved holiday vacation. Let's get to our puck report, brought to you by Fountain Tire. At Fountain Tire, we can meet all your car needs and more with the digital vehicle report. We don't just tell you what your car needs, we show you. Book your appointment at fountaintire.com. Today, as we welcome in Alex Doherty from the Tennessean down in Nashville, covering the Predators. Alex, thanks a lot for taking some time with us this morning. Much appreciated, and welcome back to the show.
Oh, yeah, thank you. No problem at all. Glad to be here.
So Alex, a little bit of some shocking news coming down yesterday, kind of mid-morning or so up here in Edmonton, that Barry Trotz is going to be stepping down as general manager of the club, this in his third season in the role. The news about the departure, I suppose, isn't the most surprising part, but the timing of it here mid-season. We're just over a month away from the trade deadline, a couple days from the Olympic trade freeze. What was sort of the reaction to it down in Nashville, and both with the news itself and the timing?
Yeah, we'll talk about the timing first, just because that's probably the stranger part of the whole thing. I think when you hear their explanation as to why they wanted to do it now, it does make some sense. And Bill Haslam, the new majority owner, wants to be as transparent as possible. He also wanted to be way ahead of the game on hiring the next GM. He wants to make sure to I think the line was have your fishing line in the pond first before anyone else. So I think that makes sense. You know, the timing is especially weird because the Predators are in this kind of strange, they're trying to make a playoff push, and they're a couple points out of a wild card spot. No one's going to go into that locker room and say, oh, well, the GM's retiring now. Now you don't need to try to make the playoffs. That team wants to win, and you got a lot of players on that team that all they want to do is win, like Stamkos and O'Reilly and Forsberg and Saros and all these, and Yossi. But the timing definitely took a lot of people by surprise. The players were very shocked. Andrew Burnett seemed very surprised. I think this was a very small amount of people that knew about this. And one thing we learned, and I think that there's some people, maybe misconceptions is not the right way to say it, but some people assuming that this was somehow Barry Trotz being forced out. I really just disagree with that assessment. One thing we learned yesterday is that Barry Trotz kind of told ownership and the team when he was hired in 2023 that this would probably just be a one contract thing, that he would sign a 4-year deal. He was going to be in the role through 26, 27, and then probably consider retirement. He had been talking to Bill Haslam about retirement as early as last summer. And then when he finally decided in earlier this year and talked to them back in December, hey, I'm really considering this. This is something I'd want to do. Then they said, okay, well, let's go ahead and make the decision now so we can go ahead and start the process. And then now, considering that, Trotz is, first of all, they had a ceremony together, or not a ceremony, but a press conference yesterday together. Trotz is going to be a part of the process to get the next guy. I just don't see a scenario in which Barry Trotz would want to be a part of that if he was really being forced out or forced to resign. So is there an aspect of his job performance that leaves a lot of questions? Absolutely. I mean, the missteps are very glaring, but I just don't see this as anything other than Barry Trotz wants to actually go back and spend time with his family. He sees time ticking by with his kids and with his parents and with his wife's parents and everything. And there's more to life than hockey, and I think he's realizing that.
Alex Doherty from the Tennessean, our guest here on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Alex covers the Nashville Predators down in Tennessee. So, Alex, obviously the next logical question, at least in my eyes, comes is who is the man or person for the job here. And Trotz, as you said, is going to remain in the role until a successor is found, and he will be a part of this process. But in the early going here, are there any names that jump out to you or that you've heard maybe bounced around as a potential replacement?
Yeah, well, the list is going to be pretty long. So the team is going to go with CAA to help with the search, but ultimately it's going to come down to a number of people kind of looking at the applicants and deciding what they want to do. What kind of direction do they want to go? Let's first look at the in-house options, which I think are less likely considering what we heard yesterday. Brian Poyle, son of David Poyle, he's the assistant GM. He's been there since 2010, I believe. Would be very much a continuation of the current setup, should we say? It would be. There probably would not be a lot of changes in terms of the strategy, draft strategy, free agent strategy, trades, all that. Especially because Brian Poyle has been a big part of free agent contracts and things like that. So that would be, in my opinion, that's the least likely. But you have to consider it as an option. I think the most likely is a total outside hire, someone not in the Predators family at all. Obviously they had David Poyle forever. They went with Barry Trotz in the Predators family. I think that the most likely is to go completely outside. Two names that have popped up. I know that Elliot Friedman talked about this. I know that other folks have mentioned this, but Brendan Shanahan, the long time with the Toronto Maple Leafs, is not anywhere currently and would make a lot of sense in terms of what he was able to do to get the Maple Leafs back into contention. Say what you want about the Maple Leafs not winning playoff series, but that team was in pretty bad shape in the early 2010s, and got Austin Matthews, signed big contracts, got incredible talent in like Mitch Marner and William Nylander through the draft. That would be ideal for Nashville. Playoff success and like Stanley Cup success can come later, but you got to get this team back to competing. So that would be an option. Another would be Mark Bergevin, who I know is just recently signed with Buffalo, but another long-time experienced GM. There's a ton of assistant GMs out there I think would make a lot of sense. Do they want to go with someone who's done the main job before, or just are they comfortable with just someone who's been in a free front office? But I think the most likely is they just go outside of the family. They go outside hire someone who's been in another front office before, and tap them to really kind of rebuild this thing from the ground up.
The Tennesseans, Alex Doherty, our guest here on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440, covering the Nashville Predators down in Music City. Now, Alex, I don't have to tell you about this log jam in the standings across the NHL, but in the Western Conference in particular, Nashville, they find themselves just 3 points out of the final wild card spot, but they've got a lot of pieces on this roster on expiring contracts and items or players that would be sought after by other clubs. So with this news coming when it does that throw any wrench into maybe what Nashville's plans are here? Of course, the team's going to keep playing, but they also have to look out for the best interest of the organization, and that may come in the form of selling off some of these rental pieces.
Oh yeah, it completely changes everything. I think. Okay, it's a really. If you told me 2 days ago, Sunday night, if you'd asked me this question, I would say, no, I think there's a chance they're going to hold on to some pieces and try to make a playoff. But now I think that the whole scenario has changed. I feel like Barry Trotz would be much more willing to part with guys if it means good things for the franchise. I do think he's going to wait as long as possible. I don't think he's going to do anything before the Olympic break. I think he's going to wait until maybe just trade deadline day to see. At the very least, does he want to trade O'Reilly yet? Because if the team is at least in a playoff spot, O'Reilly is the main guy. I mean, he is the best productive center on the team. If you trade him away, it's a huge white flag on the season. I mean, if you trade Ryan O'Reilly, the season's done. But and then the other issue is like Stamkos is playing well enough to be okay with the contract hit. It perhaps it makes his contract more tradable in the off season. I can't see it happening in season though, because he's just playing too well right now. I mean, he's already at his goal total from last year.
Yeah,
he could get the 40, which is fine. You'd be totally fine with that. Other players though, there are some other expiring contracts that I think could get traded no matter what. Michael Bunting, Eric Halla, Michael McCarron would be 3. And of those, I actually think Michael McCarron would be probably the most valuable, just because he's big, he's a center, he wins face-off draws, he plays in the penalty kill. Playoff teams are going to line up for that, and maybe even willing to give up a high second or a low first round pick to get that. So if you can get that out of Michael McCarron, that would be a win for Barry Trotz out the door.
Yeah, I want to stick on McCarron for a little bit, because a lot of this season up here in Edmonton, we've talked about, the bottom 6 and lack of production, the lack of identity, role stuff. And McCarron's a name that has been circled a few times as a potential fit here. Now, granted, Curtis Lazar has come in and done a really good job of maybe solidifying himself as the 4th line center. McCarron plays, middle 6 at times for the Predators in that C3 spot. Is that the fit for him, or do you think on a contending team he is more your traditional 4th line role player that, like you said, can kill some penalties and maybe win the critical draw for you from time to time?
I definitely see him as a 4th line guy. He's the 3rd line center for Predators, and honestly, I'll tell you, he probably plays 2nd line minutes sometimes with the Predators, just because of the way this team has to play. So I think he would come in and be on a team like the Oilers. I think he would be very reliable, bottom 6 center at best, and a really good penalty killer. He's just so big and rangy. He's really good with his body control. I think he'd be really impressed with his defensive work. His offensive work is fine. He benefits from having some speedy wingers on his outside, so that helps. But he would be an excellent addition for anyone who's looking to shore up that bottom line. And penalties, like he takes penalties, but he also he doesn't take bad penalties. The penalties he takes are often in the defensive zone. He's not out there slashing guys in the offensive zone, taking bad penalties. He takes good penalties. I know that's kind of a strange thing to say, but hey, with Nashville, we're looking for all we can get.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I think Michael McCarron actually is probably the best sale asset the Predators have to offer for a team like Edmonton or a playoff team.
Yeah, and like you said, the acquisition cost, depending on how the market might fluctuate here, may not be exponentially high, but obviously Nashville looking to recoup as much as they can for what they have available to move on from. Alex, really appreciate you jumping on with us this morning. Great insight on how things are shaking out down there in Nashville, and we'll be watching with a careful eye here as we head into the Olympic break and then back out of it later this month. Enjoy the break, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Definitely. Thanks a lot for having me, and anytime.
Alex Doherty writes for the Tennessean down in Nashville, covers the Predators, and our Puck Report brought to you by Fountain Tire. At Fountain Tire, we take care of your vehicle and your vehicle only. Your focus, just enjoy the winter driving. Worry-free. Book your appointment at fountaintire.com. Today, when we come back, Declan Kruger will be with us. We don't know if it's in person, on a video call, on a cell phone call, all to be determined here in the coming minutes. But with Declan, we'll talk about the Elks activity in the CFL free agency window that has opened up, as well as the rest of the league. Some basketball. It's NBA trade deadline week, and a fun kind of bounce around segment with our good buddy Declan from the Lowdown with Low Tide, as well as elksnation.ca. That's right around the corner here on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas, Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick, all with you. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Mr. Rooter gets a colonoscopy.
All right, Mr. Rooter, just relax. We're almost finished.
Now, what am I looking at on the screen?
That's your large intestine.
Wow, the pipes of the human body. Incredible. This is just like when we use a camera for sewer inspection, except you probably don't find tree roots.
You'd be surprised what we find.
Once I found a bunch of Hot Wheels.
Hey, me too.
For a plumber who values healthy pipes, call Mr. Rooter.
Made for some rough roads, but it means trails are now packed and ready for action. Don't miss out on riding adventures this winter with a Ski-Doo from Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo. Work or play with new 2026 Generation 5 models with class-leading design and power. And right now, take advantage of 5.99% financing OAC. Only at Riverside Honda and Ski-Doo. 15 Inglewood Drive in St. Albert. And always at riversidehonda.com. Shop local, shop Canadian.
A Saskatchewan boy who grew up loving and playing sports. At least we think he grew up. Listen to Kevin Karius weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Edmonton's home for sports. Sports 1440.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends. Here, you can take your time, explore the latest Fords, and enjoy the no-pressure atmosphere. It's not just about cars. It's about family, comfort, and trust. The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
As players get ready to represent Canada, the regular hockey season takes a break. But don't forget about your winter breaks, BRAKES. At Napa Auto Parts, you'll find gold medal level stopping power and all your other world-class automotive parts and needs, like podium-worthy Napa Gold filters. Napa Auto Parts is here to support your commute, your drive to the rink, and eventually your own gold medal moment. With close to 600 locations throughout the country and over 85 in Alberta, stop into your local Napa store today. Let's go, Canada! That's Napa know-how.
I threw
Sports 1440. All sports, all day.
On YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Thanks for listening to Edmonton's sports leader.
10:21 in Edmonton. Welcome back to the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas with you this morning, filling in for Kevin as he enjoys a very well-deserved vacation, sipping fruity drinks, icy cold, margaritas, dicoritas, whatever he's having down in Mexico. He'll be back with us Monday morning. In the meantime, I'm holding down the fort. We got Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick in studio as well. And we're now joined by our friend, our colleague, I wouldn't say our peer, because he's certainly above the rest of us on the totem pole, but Declan Kruger of The Lowdown with Low Tide. You can also find his work over at Elks Nation via article, via podcast. Deck, thanks for getting out of bed a little early for us this morning and joining us for a 10:20 hit. Appreciate it, man.
It was tough, man. Usually in my REM cycle right about now. I don't know how I'm doing. I appreciate the intro, too. It was really nice of you.
Thank you. Oh, absolutely my pleasure. I thank you for hopping on. And a lot of topics.
Well, Brandon, let me stop you right there. Before you get into your first question, remember what we talked about off air. Softballs only. If I even think I'm getting a slider, I'm
that's a constant standing rule about having you on the show, for which I might note you always handle very well. And in terms of attendance and scheduled hits, you're on a really nice streak here. We might be ready to promote you back with Kevin because you had a rough run with him beforehand of no showing, and you soured him a little bit on the taste of Declan Kruger. But you're on a good streak. I'm ready to promote you back to the big leagues here.
Dude, pretty crazy, hey, to just like not show up. It was pretty wild. I did that.
Hey, I didn't hold it against you for more than like 20 minutes, so that's perfectly fine.
Listen, missing a 720 hit is one thing. When you're missing like 1040 hits on a Wednesday, it's probably your problem.
A little bit tougher. Tonight, Declan, you could be up late, perhaps watching the Pro Bowl, causing you to be a little bit more tired tomorrow. Is that on your schedule for tonight's viewing?
No, I haven't, dude. I haven't watched the Pro Bowl in I couldn't even tell you how many years. Like, I've been so checked out. I've been pretty much checked out of all the All-Star games. I still love the NBA All-Star game just because of the nostalgia behind it. MLB All-Star game is definitely the best, but no, like I won't be watching the Pro Bowl. I might watch The Sopranos. I know this is a sports station. I might check out The Pit. It's winning a lot of Emmys. You know what I mean? Like anything to not watch the Pro Bowl is. Well, I don't
know if you knew this or not, Declan, but the Oilers play tonight. You could be interested in that, perhaps.
What sport?
Yeah, that's ice hockey.
Okay, I'll check that one out. You know what? Hey,
it's a big one, Deck. The Leafs are in town. The Maple Leafs.
I was just gonna say, speaking of that, you know that meme on Twitter that's like, "What's tougher than this?" And it's guys covered in mud operating that huge cog. You know the meme I'm talking about?
I can't say it's
what's tougher than that is getting a Toronto beat reporter to come on the show.
Really?
With you.
Well, your guys' show is right there in like morning skate and availability, so that's tough sometimes.
Yeah. I feel like I'm texting a 49ers beat reporter. Like, at least they just say, no, I don't want to do it. Toronto, they just don't reply. Like, it's brutal out here.
Well, tell you what, I believe in your abilities as a top-notch producer. You'll get her sorted one way or the other. Declan Kruger from the Lowdown with Low Tide with us here on the Kevin Karius Show. Declan, of course, also podcast host, writer over at elksnation.ca. Declan, the CFL's free agency window, communication window, has opened, a unofficial beginning to the free agency period in the CFL. And the Elks have been pretty busy. You had a great piece up at elksnation.ca. I had a chance to read through it over the weekend, but I want to dive into it a little bit more with you and what you make of Ed Hervey's acquisitions here in the early going of this communication window.
Well, they address needs, right? Like, I think the two biggest issues for this Elks team, obviously early in the season, was the defense. The defense kind of corrected itself as the season went on, but the two biggest needs were the line and a lack of a true number one receiver. Like, people thought it was going to be Curly Giddens Jr. It wasn't really. Then Steven kind of emerged, and he played very well early on when he was healthy. But the reality is, like, Steven's probably second or third best receiver on a Grey Cup winning team. Kaon had some chemistry with Cody late, but again, like, Kaon's not really a number one guy. Didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver, and they went out and addressed that with Austin Mack, a guy who, when he played with Cody in Montreal, top 4 in receptions, top 5 in receiving yards, had a huge Grey Cup game, 6 catches, 100+ yards, touchdown, physical body, shields the ball well, great catch radius. I had heard a lot about his catch radius. I didn't realize how well it was until I went back and actually looked at some of the highlights. Like, you really can throw it anywhere near him and he's going to go and get it. Like, I still don't really think of him as a guy who can go high point a ball, but like, anything near him, he's going to go up and find. And it was something I read a lot about, but it was something I didn't really truly appreciated about his game. So they got a number one receiver in Austin Mack. They got a guy who can go out there and be a bona fide, 1,200-yard guy if he plays 17, all 18 games, can be healthy. And then the line, like, the right side was horrible last year. Like, Gregor McKellar and Brett Boyko were terrible. They were awful. Now they addressed that with bringing in Carter O'Donnell during the season, and he can play guard, he can play tackle. But they went out. They got Coulter Woodmansey, who was the highest rated center actually by PFF in the CFL last year. I think he fits better as a guard. It'll be interesting to see what they do with David Beard if they keep Beardo at center and then have Coulter playing right guard. Put Carter out there at right tackle, because Brett and Gregor aren't the answer. They know that. Then that left tackle position, they went out and got Brendan Bordner and Jordan Murray. What's funny about them is Brendan Bordner, he was actually benched for Jordan Murray when they were both on the Ticats. So it's Brendan Bordner thinks he's going to kind of get a fresh start, come out and, compete for a left tackle spot. And then all of a sudden the guy who took his job is coming with him. So it's going to be competition. Martez Ivey, great 2024. He was first team all CFL by 3 Down Nations estimations. Brendan Bordner was second, but if we're going off there, or Jordan, Brendan Bordner was second, but if we're going off their 2024 seasons, like, you pick Martez Ivey based on what I just said. 2025 season was underwhelming for both of them. So it'll be a competition. All 3 of those names are going to go and compete for the left tackle spot. But like I said, like, the needs that needed to be addressed were addressed. You bring in 3 bodies on the line, 3 high profile names. Jordan Murray is like 6'9", 325, just ideal size for a tackle. And then you go and get your number one receiver, and it's a guy who has chemistry with the guy you just paid number one quarterback money to. So I liked it. It was a good job.
Declan Kruger from Elks Nation, as well as the Lowdown with Low Tide right here on Sports 1440, noon to 2 every day, guesting with us on the Kevin Karius Show. Declan, around the rest of the CFL, anything jumping out at you from activity elsewhere? We saw obviously a couple Elks depart. The main name being Trey Ford, going to latch on as a backup behind Bo Levi Mitchell in Hamilton. Between Trey Ford heading to the Ticats, anything else kind of jump out at you and make you raise your eyebrows a little bit?
Yeah, because I thought you might ask, like, which team had the best free agency. And, bias aside, I did want to say Edmonton just because of the needs that were addressed. I thought Ottawa did a great job as well. They went out and got Greg Bell, phenomenal running back, AJ Allen, CJ Rivas. I thought they did really well. Trey going to Hamilton, like, I just don't get the fit. I understand it's close to home. Apparently he has a bit of a relationship with Bo, and Bo is a great quarterback to learn under, as is Scott Milanovic as a head coach, great offensive mind. But Brandon, close your eyes and picture this: Trey Ford running an air raid offense. Does that make any sense? I understand, he's close to home. I understand he's under the tutelage of 2 guys who really know the game well. He's gonna have to adapt. Like, his athleticism, phenomenal. Some of the best we have, probably the best we have at the quarterback position in the CFL. But coming in like as the heir apparent to Bo, like it's going to be an overhaul schematically, offensively. I just didn't get it from that perspective. I thought he would have landed in BC because of, the Canadian aspect with Nathan Rourke. I thought maybe Montreal because Davis kind of plays, with some athleticism in his game that Trey can duplicate or replicate if he comes into the game. So, yeah, I don't know. But as far as the rest of the departures, like Jake Serezna, he had 16 tackles, 1 sack in 11 games last year. He goes to Winnipeg for the exact same money. Like, I was happy to let him walk. Devondrick Bynum, great rookie year, 5 picks. Like, tough. It's tough to get 5 picks in the CFL, but not a physical player, lost his job to injury, and the guy who took it over, and JJ Ross, is better than him. I saw today Kobe Williams re-signed with the Elks, so hopefully I can get a piece up on that later. I really like Kobe Williams as well. Kind of an underrated player in that secondary. What were some other? Is there any big moves that I'm missing that you thought I was going to touch on that I haven't got to?
Not necessarily. I mean, hey, you're the expert. You keep tabs on the whole league, obviously focused here in Edmonton. But no, I mean, I thought the forward conversation is an interesting one because of you listed it out, right? You talk about the fit and learning, under guys like Mitchell and Milanovic, his quarterback and coach, his tutors. That's great, but they have a lot of work to do with him if they want to turn him into the type of player that Bo Levi Mitchell is, or other quarterbacks that Milanovic has had success with in the past, right? And I kind of asked this to our co-host on Mondays, Eddie Steele, yesterday about in the future, in the post-Bo Levi Mitchell era, and Milanovic is in theory still there, do the Ticats completely change what kind of offense they are running to fit Trey Ford? And Eddie's counter was an interesting one, saying CFL is a passing league. Trey Ford has to learn to be that guy. What say you, Declan?
Yeah, I mean, like, it is a passing league, and he does, like, he would have to learn to be a true passing quarterback, but, like, people talk about him not getting a fair shake here in Edmonton, and I do think to a degree that's true. But, like, it's over 20 games started. It was 4 years. Like, he doesn't have a touch on his passes, like, at all. Like, I don't want to be too harsh, and he has a lot of really positive qualities. He can make something out of nothing. He's elusive. He's athletic. Like, he scrambles well, but, like, his touch is really some of the worst I've seen in, like, a long time. Like, he just constantly missing receivers long, constantly underthrown. Like, he's no touch on anything. Doesn't matter if he has time. Doesn't matter if he's scrambling. And I just don't, like, after 4 years in the league and 20 plus starts, like, I kind of start to wonder, like, maybe a Tiger just doesn't change his stripes. No pun intended about the whole Ticats thing. But yeah, he has to be a passing quarterback. You can't come into a 3-down league and just run an option offense. On first and second down 90% of the time. Like, you have to be able to learn to pass at a high level, and hopefully he can do that under these guys. Like, he's under the 2 best guys to be able to do that. I'm just not sold that he can. I hope he does for his sake. Like, I like Trey Ford a lot. I think Trey is well beyond talented enough to still be in the league. The change has to come from within. Can he do it? Time will tell, but nothing I've seen makes me think, like, yes, this guy can develop into a 4,500 yard 70% passer.
Declan Kruger from Elks Nation, as well as the Lowdown with Lowtide, with us here on the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Kevin this morning. Changing gears, Deck, over to the NBA. I know you're a real hoop head yourself, and it's trade deadline week in the association. Now, of course, the big name is Giannis Antetokounmpo, and will Milwaukee trade him? What are the potential landing spots if he were to go? But kind of recently popping up on the scene, and Chris Haynes from Yahoo Sports reporting that a deal between the Clippers and Cavaliers ramping up that will likely send James Harden to the Cavs in exchange for Darius Garland in a package type deal from both sides. What do you make of this deal for the Clippers moving out the 11-time All-Star Harden, and the Cavaliers kind of changing gears a little bit?
Well, it's funny. Like, I saw someone say, like, it was like, don't act shocked that James Harden, wants to leave your team. Like, this is who he is. I saw another kind of, I saw another kind of conspiracy theory that it was like Kawhi not making the All-Star game and James wanting to be moved out is an indication that Kawhi might get suspended. I don't know how much how much kerosene you want to give that fire, but just something to think about. As far as an actual fit, like, James would have to, I don't want to say sacrifice his scoring because I think he is, a better pure scorer even still than Darius Garland, but he would have to be a guy who, it plays as he's done the last however many years of his career, like be a play creator, understand, like James, I'll give him this credit. Like he was a guy who all those years in Houston, you never really imagined him as someone who would give up the ball and let someone else be the shot maker on the team. And he's kind of done that with Kawhi Leonard. So I give him a lot. He would have to do that as well with Donovan Mitchell. And he adds another element. Like I like Darius Garland a lot. I really like Darius Garland's game. Like I think Darius Garland is a player that most teams would be happy to have. But like, you know, if your team is down by 8 in the final 2 minutes, I don't know if I've ever thought of Darius Garland as a guy who can go and get 9 points in a row to win you the game. James, at this point in his career, maybe you could make the argument not either, but like I certainly feel that way more. And Donovan Mitchell's, you know, he's pushing 30 and he's never been out of the second round. Now, James Harden isn't some playoff hero. Quite the opposite, actually. He's been horrible in the playoffs in his career. But at least it's a guy who, like, it's tough for me to even say he's been there because he's failed so miserably in the playoffs time and time again. But he at least seems to, like, he brings a veteran element almost that you, like, and again, like, I'm really going in circles here, and it's everything I'm saying is an oxymoron, but it just feels like he kind of, even though he fails in the moments, he knows what they are. You know what I mean? And he brings that element. And like, I don't want to sit here and carry water for James Harden in the playoffs. Like he's one of the worst superstars ever in the playoffs, but there's something about being in the league this long and being around players who understands it takes. And like, as good as Cleveland is, they don't have that right now. Like Donovan Mitchell, like I said, he's never been to a conference finals. The rest of the team, like Allen, but Keon Ellis, who's coming. You think Keon Ellis was coming from a winning culture in Sacramento? No, forget about it. Like James Harden's at least, and again, like I hate just repeating myself for the 5th time, but he even though he can't perform the moments, he knows what the moments take.
Well, and it's kind of the age-old question, right, of experience versus losing experience. Well, it's still experience, and you would think that some players, once again, not speaking for Harden specifically, but they take those losses and failures in these bigger moments in the playoffs, in whatever circumstance that they're put in, and learn from them. Take that and apply lessons moving forward. Now, as to your point, we haven't necessarily seen that from Harden, who
he takes them when he gets worse.
Yeah, exactly, right? But maybe it's do as I say, not as I do type approach now in Cleveland, where he can tell the likes of Donovan Mitchell to say, hey, this is why it didn't go well for me in the playoffs before. I can't seem to figure it out, but maybe you can. Let me impart some sort of wisdom on you or not. But at least you got to give the Cavaliers a little bit of credit for taking a swing here in what is still a wide open year across these.
What do you think? Do you think it makes the Cavs worse?
Well, you talk about Garland, and listen, I'm far from an expert on the basketball side of things, but like the Cavaliers, they often seem like a team that has all the cogs in place. But then, as you said, come crunch time, you need, if Mitchell is in foul trouble or getting locked up by a premier defender on the other side, you need somebody else to take the ball. I'm right there with you. I think Harden provides a better scoring option right now than maybe the upside that Garland possesses, even if you're giving up a little bit on the youth element when you compare the two players.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, we've seen 12 years of this. Like, do we think this year is going to be different? I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in that situation, how it all plays out.
Declan, last one for you. NFL season's about to wrap up on Sunday, which for me means I'm ready to dive full headlong into college basketball, which of course has already been at it for months, but does often take a back seat depending on your preferences to college football, NFL, NHL, the NBA, you name it, whatever. But right now, as we're starting February, a month plus away from March Madness, what are some of your favorite teams in college basketball right now that you think can maybe take a run at a national championship come March and April?
Man, it's so boring, but like I think it's Arizona, Michigan, and Duke.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is, so last year, all 4 number 1 seeds had a Ken Palm rating of above 35, and obviously all 4 number 1 seeds made the Final Four. Before that, I think it was since 2000, there have been 4 teams with a net rating of 35 or higher. 2 of them won the Natty. 1 was a Final Four team. 1 was a national championship runner-up. This year, Michigan sits at like 36.8, Arizona 36.2, Duke like 35.96. So they're all above that, historically great 35 number, if you will. And I look at the lay of the land, like Arizona. I think Arizona's next 7 games, I think they got to play like Kansas twice. They got to play Iowa State, Houston, BYU, Texas Tech. Like, they're sitting there undefeated, and they're very good. Like, they're a very good team. Don't get me wrong. That UConn win was big. They are a very good team. But I just think in a couple weeks here, they're going to go from 22-0 to like 26-3 or 25-4, something like that. And everyone's going to be like, whoa, what happened with Arizona? They're still a very good team. Their schedule is just going to get a heck of a lot tougher. Michigan, I know they had that slip up versus Wisconsin. They also beat Gonzaga by 40 and scored 100 in that game. They got their best player is Yaxel Lenberg. He's going to be he's going to be like top 15 in the draft, I would think, or, just missed the lottery. I think for them, a lot runs through this kid, Elliot Cadeau. He's kind of their play creator, if you will. And then Duke has the best player of any of those 3 teams with respect to Koa Pete at Arizona in Cam Boozer. He's putting up like 23.5 and 8 in Duke, going to be one of the top 3 picks in the draft. I'd love to, I was really trying to talk myself into Illinois because they just beat, Nebraska. I've been trying to talk myself into UConn a little bit, Houston as well, because I really love Kelvin Sampson. But I just think it's those 3 teams going away as it stands right now. There's still a lot of basketball left to be played, but Arizona, Duke, Michigan, it's boring, but they're the safe bets for the reason. Yeah, awesome. That's the safe bets for a reason.
Yeah, you betcha. Deck, appreciate it, man. We'll see you once you roll in studio here in the next hour or so, and looking forward to another great day on the Lowdown with Low Tide and whatever you got coming up at Elks Nation. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Declan Kruger. Read his stuff at elksnation.ca. Hear him with Eddie Steele on Elks 101 and Elks Central, 2 weekly podcasts. You can find them at the same spot at elksnation.ca, and you can hear him every day, noon to 2 on the Lowdown with Low Tide right here on Sports 1440. When we come back, we will wrap up the program. We will revisit some text messages going back to Donovan's in or out topics on the day. Everything from underappreciated Olympic events, musicians that have passed away that you'd like to hear one more album from, and we'll continue to tee up Oilers, Leafs tonight, 6:30 scheduled puck drop from Rogers Place, the final meeting between the 2 teams for this season. It's the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas, Donovan Paulson, and Josh Fenwick all in studio with you. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Happy New Year. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you for everything in 2025. With your help and your support, we fed almost 500 families. We donated to various charities in the Edmonton area, and we're going to do it again in 2026. Please stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country. Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 furnace replacement company for lovers. Because the best aphrodisiac is no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace from Legacy. So forget about the oysters, baby. If you really want to check the heat, we can be a thermal baby. Give me your sweet loving legacy. Heat things up with no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The longest running basketball show in Canada airs every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440. Hoop City with Paul Sir introduces a new generation of basketball talk, and it's right here on Edmonton's home for sports, Sports 1440.
These days, it's all about who you know. And that's why it's the perfect time to save at the Bricks Friends and Family Sale. Upgrade your living room in time for the big game and score free delivery on TVs over 50 inches, like a Samsung 85-inch 4K Smart TV for just $999. And save up to $1,200 off sofas and sectionals. And mix and match and save up to $1,000 off 2 or more major appliances. Some exclusions apply. Check out the Brick in Edmonton South Common, West Edmonton Mall, North Side on 137th, and downtown near the Ice District.
Catch the biggest game on the biggest screens in the city.
River Free Resort and Casino invites you to the ultimate football watch party this Sunday in the venue. 3 giant screens, all-you-can-eat buffet, desserts and snacks, $5.25 drink features, and tons of prizes. Don't miss River Free's ultimate football watch party with premium VIP seating available. Tickets at riverfreeresort.com.
River Free Resort and Casino. Excitement. Bet on it.
Oh, Canada. Jiffy Lube is here to keep you moving through mornings like these. Full synthetic oil changes, quality Pennzoil products, tire checks, battery tests, and everything else your car needs to get through our winters. Stop by Jiffy Lube for fast, easy, warranty-approved service. No appointment, no hassle. Just dependable service right when you need it. Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving through this.
Have your sports curiosity cured with the Kevin Karius Show. This is Sports 1440.
Welcome back. Home stretch of the Kevin Karius Show on Sports 1440. Coming up on 11 o'clock at the top of that hour will be Fantasy Frenzy. The con man, Connor Halley, will be in studio. I will be here today as well. Maybe we'll let Donovan leave, go home and have a nap since he's so tired. The poor little guy. Josh will be here. Mackenzie, the intern.
Staying in here for Josh.
You're staying.
He is off to Oilers Nation headquarters. Big shooter.
Are you going to learn something new, Josh?
I am going to learn something new. I thought the intern days were behind me, and yet here we are.
Well, that's the important thing about being in any business, Josh. You never stop learning.
You just got to keep learning. And so
I like to consider myself a lifelong learner.
That's a good thing to consider yourself as. Yeah, a couple text messages back and forth with old Wanye Gretz and Patrick Puff.
Oh, legend.
Sort of went, oh, well, how about I just go to ON instead of
trying to learn this over a text message?
Yeah, or, from a video that people would send me or whatever. So I'll just go in, see how things rock over there.
Aren't you old enough that you essentially learned everything over video during the high school and the pandemic?
I learned nothing over video.
Well, sorry, were you supposed to learn something?
Probably.
Right. But you still also got into Nate despite this fact.
Oh, I mean, I was a good student when I was in class. I just happened to spend a year and a half over listen, I did fine. Not in math. I'm terrible at math.
Oh my God.
Math.
Well, good news. You fit right in on this show then because we're also bad.
Me, you, and Donnie the exec.
Yeah, exactly. Tiger says, hey, Josh, don't give up on the parking. It can be hard to find down there sometimes.
I won't give up on the parking. So, yeah.
Just
unlike Donnie the exec over here.
Our text line, 1-833-401-1440. Get them in while you can. After Fantasy Frenzy, where Donovan will do Josh's job, Mackenzie will do my job, I will do half of my job, and Connor will do his job. It's the Lowdown with Low Tide. Just had Declan on. He'll be there, of course, as will, I presume, Donovan as well. And the main man himself, Alan Mitchell. That's from noon to 2. And then 2 to 6, Jason Greger, Connor Halley. They're a great usual slate of guests on a Tuesday, which is loaded more often than not. Derek Van Diest off and on Tuesdays. I think Mike Rupp, maybe Terry Ryan pop in for a little bit. And they will be interrupted at 5:30 for pregame coverage, starting with Donovan, Andrew Walker, maybe our good buddy Lana Ferraro will pop in as well. So loaded day here on Sports 1440. Post-game coverage to follow immediately the conclusion of Oilers and Leafs tonight. We're back with you tomorrow morning, of course, at 7 a.m.
We have some breaking news on the Team Canada Olympics front.
Oh, boy.
Anthony Cirelli is not going to be making it.
Oh.
It will be Sam Bennett replacing him.
Did Sam Bennett not also get hurt yesterday?
He did.
But
Clearly,
he's
it's
not that hurt. He's not that hurt. Well, I'll say this about that. So we talked about Anthony Cirelli yesterday with Eduardo Encina, right? And how despite a lot of outcries from across our nation and the world of hockey, I'll put myself in the camp that say, yes, he's a good checking forward, but can you not just get someone else to be a checking forward that on their own team normally is the top line forward? I stand in that camp of the argument. That's not to mean Anthony Cirelli's not a good player. He is. He's very good. Not just a checking either. But this maybe will make some people happy, I guess. You never want to root for a guy to get injured. And this is like a chance for him to represent his country at the Olympics. Potentially once in a lifetime opportunity. So you feel for Anthony Cirelli. Now, to the Oilers and Edmonton perspective on this, did we want Zach Hyman to get named there? And by we, I'm, casting a wide net here. Did the Oilers? Did the fans? This is a chance for Zach Hyman to take a break, rest, recuperate, probably a little holiday mixed in. He absolutely deserved to be in consideration for the team. Zach Hyman did. And I'm sure he was. But the choice to go with Sam Bennett here should not come as a surprising one. At least in my eyes.
No, this is plug-in play for your fourth line center. This is exactly what Cirelli would have been. You're just replacing that with Sam Bennett. I think it's a massive downgrade in terms of your fourth line center. I know people were in massive outrage about Anthony Cirelli being on this team. Go look at Anthony Cirelli's season and come back to me. He's plus 30 in 49 games. He has 35 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's your fourth line center. Oh no.
Yeah.
What a bum he is.
Kyle texting in, as much as I want Hyman out there, I'm going to be a greedy Oilers fan and would rather see him in Cancun. Kyle, I don't think you will be alone in that train of thought. I think there will be a lot of Oilers fans, as well as even those inside the Oilers organization that say, Zach, feel for you. Would have loved to see you wearing the Maple Leaf, but takes a couple weeks off. Come back at 100%. You've been great since coming back from injury. We're going to need you to be just as great, if not even better, down the home stretch to get into the playoffs, chase down a Pacific Division title, and have another deep playoff run. And Kyle follows up, and it's valid. Has Point confirmed in or out? No confirmation one way or the other, I believe. Yeah,
nothing
it was
yet.
Status still up in the air.
Only guy we can confirm is Cirelli.
Now, keep in mind, these rosters do not have, like the Olympic ones, they can make replacements right up until the 11th, is my understanding of the reading of the roster rules. So if they want to wait until this weekend to decide what to do with Braden Point, I suppose they can, but I would also think they probably want to get the guys that are going to be playing over there acclimated, settled, before they kick off competition next week. Just a guess. Cal, B Point was weak choice. Sam Bennett was hurt last night, ? Yes, he was, but Cal, as we just said, this leads us to believe that the injury is not serious in nature. Did leave the game, though. Did leave the game. Kenneth says Zach Hyman didn't have a sniff. Not sure I would agree with that. And the rig. First of all, was Declan in a culvert? I don't think so. I think he was at home. Might have just had... maybe, I don't know. Did he have his headphones in, Josh? I wasn't watching the video. No? So just a little echoey on the video.
I would take it he probably used his microphone on his laptop.
And he is a professional podcaster. He doesn't even have a podcast mic. I know he goes to the Nation studios to do all the shows, but still. Deck, come on, man. And then we'll end on this. And because the Rig's second half of this message was, I'd like to hear more from Chris Cornell. This, Donovan, was your fifth question. The day the music died. So who are the individuals that perished in the crash? Richie Valens.
Yes, it was Buddy Holly and JP Richardson.
So,
all in a tragic plane crash.
So Donovan asked the question, if you could pick a musician, an artist from beyond the grave that you would like to hear another album from, who would it be? Josh, did you have an answer for that? He says no, not a music guy. He's a movie guy. Northside Loose is Michael Hutchence in INXS. Starting to become huge when he passed away. Lance says Joe Strummer. Janis Joplin from Rod. Husk, as far as rock drumming goes, Bonham's the top, but he's also say Bob Marley, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix, all gone way too early. Matt and Leduc, Chester Bennington. I love Linkin Park's new stuff, but I wanted more Chester. And then how about this one from Marty, Lord Commander, Chris Gaines. Now, Marty, Chris Gaines did not pass away in a literal sense, just that character was laid to rest as Garth Brooks' alter ego. Thank you all very much for tuning in to the show today. Appreciate all of our guests taking the time to be with us. Top of the hour, it's Fantasy Frenzy with Connor Halley and yours truly, Mackenzie the intern, along for the ride as well. Before that, let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Sean Cunningham of Remax Real Estate. Get the home team advantage for your next move in the Edmonton area. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, call or text Sean directly, 780-265-0165. Enjoy the game tonight, everyone. Have a great remainder of your Tuesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Here is Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
It is game night as the Oilers host the Toronto Maple Leafs. Puck drop going just after 6:30. Connor Ingram will officially be getting the start. The Sens, they are in Carolina to clash with the Hurricanes. Flyers hosting the Caps. It is the Devils and Blue Jackets. The Pens, they take on the Islanders in Long Island. The Lightning hosting the Sabres, and the Anaheim Ducks, they clash with the Seattle Kraken. Coming up on Sports 1440, it is Fantasy Frenzy with Hallie and Douglas. I'm Donovan Paulson. That is your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West